When the apocalypse begins, people start turning into zombies, and monsters appear everywhere. But all this chaos doesn't bother our guy because he receives a mysterious token that grants him access to a prison filled with powerful monsters who must serve him. What's more, inside this prison, he can stockpile resources that never spoil, keep live animals, and even grow plants without worrying about the apocalypse outside at all. But it all ends shortly when his girlfriend and best friend betray him and take the token for themselves. They laugh and kick him like he's trash, then pour gasoline all over him and set on fire. Those crazy bastards are sure they'll get away with it. But our guy, scorching in the flames, desperately begs the universe for a second chance, and he actually gets it when he regresses back in time to before the whole apocalypse begins. Startled to find the world peaceful and unaware of the coming apocalypse, Cheyenne is determined not to repeat his mistakes. He immediately breaks up with the toxic attention-seeking girlfriend who once betrayed him. Now free, our hero looks forward to a new beginning. At Rualan's house, she throws her phone in frustration, furious that Xiaoyan hung up and blocked her. Su-jun lies on her bed, suggesting that our protagonist may have discovered their secret relationship. Rualan dismisses this, claiming it is impossible because she believes Xiaoyan is a fool. Despite his recent behavior, she believes our protagonist is acting irrationally and will eventually return to her. She plans to demand the token when he crawls back, a strategy Shijun agrees with. The scene shifts to Xiaoyan's sister, who questions why he rushed 30 kilometers by taxi just to retrieve the heirloom. Noticing a change in his eyes, she asks what happened to him. Our hero simply asks if she trusts him, and she nods confidently, reminding him how they have always relied on each other. Hugging him, she reassures our protagonist that her trust is unconditional, and she believes his actions are for her own good. Cheyenne pats her head and instructs her to pack her things to return home with him immediately. She agrees to be ready in 2 hours, smiling and reaffirming her faith in him without demanding details. This time, our protagonist is determined to ensure Yoon survives. Later, the heirloom sits in Xiaoyan's hand, appearing quite ordinary. Suddenly, the fire in his eyes pours into the token, pulling him into its depths. Our hero finds himself standing before the 6 great hells, surrounded by monstrous creatures and a pervasive aura of terror. He notices that lightning surrounds the structure, suppressing the demons trapped within its boundaries. Seeing a figure nearby, Zion demands to know her identity. She introduces herself as Sadaji and addresses him as the warden of Hell's prison. Sadaji explains that tens of thousands of years ago, the immortal emperor gathered the 12 immortals to forge the demon-suppressing tower. This structure is the 6 great hells. Over the millennia, countless ferocious beasts and sinful gods were imprisoned here for their transgressions, condemned to suffer the agony of soul-burning lightning day and night. She reveals that the token in his hand is the key to these doors, leading Sion to realize why she addresses him as the warden. At her suggestion, our protagonist enters the prison to inspect the inmates. As they step inside, searing lightning rushes toward them. Sadaji yells a warning, but the fire in the eyes of our hero protects them both. Impressed, she reaches out to touch his face, remarking that his eyes are the nether fire seed. This power allowed him to restart his life after dying in the underworld. When Cheyenne asks if she was the voice he heard in his final moments, she explains her deep bond with his family. As the guide spirit of the Great Hell, she could not bear to see him killed by villains. His despair and fury at the moment of death ignited the nether fire seed, and she simply steered his soul back through time. Our protagonist realizes this is the catalyst for his rebirth. Though the apocalypse looms, he has already awakened his powers and is determined to change the future. Sadaji explains that the 6 great hells are divided into layers based on his soul power. Currently, our hero can only access the lowest level. Attempting to go higher would pit him against the strongest entities before he is ready. The only cell currently illuminated holds the Black Bear demon. Xiaoyan recognizes it immediately as the beast Shujun rode in his previous life. The bear initially reacts with fury, but it quickly shifts to a cutesy submissive demeanor upon realizing Xia Yan is the warden. The creature praises our protagonist as young and promising, claiming he has waited thousands of years for his arrival. When the demon attempts to kiss him, Sadaji kicks the beast, calling it shameless for groveling. She orders it to get lost despite the bear's protests that it hasn't even greeted the warden properly. Nearby, a horrific monster scoffs, noting how 1,000-year-old demons turn into lapdogs after long imprisonment. He finds nothing special about a warden who relies entirely on a token, challenging the boy to endure 1,000 years of lightning before demanding submission. Cheyenne ignores the taunt, marveling at the legendary beings held within these walls. He looks at the mocking monster and recognizes him instantly, Lei Gensi. Sadaji praises our hero for his keen intuition. She explains the hierarchy of the monster world: soldier, general, commander, king, sage, and beyond. As the warden is currently at the lowest level, he can only unlock general-level criminals. Higher floors house even more terrifying entities, including Lady Nuwa, a former god level being now lost to time. Sadaji encourages Cheyenne to work hard to eventually control the entire tower. Our protagonist is struck by the formidable nature of the prison. If the general-level beasts are this powerful, he cannot imagine the strength of those on the top floor. He feels a surge of confidence knowing these monsters will become his strength. To progress, he must absorb soul power, which Sadaji explains is distinct from standard abilities. While survivors gain abilities from zombie and mutant cores, our protagonist can only obtain soul power by killing gods. Returning to the real world, Cheyenne prepares for the coming chaos. In 3 days, when the gods descend, he will begin his hunt. Our hero walks away, focused on the many preparations left to make. Cheyenne remembers that, in his previous life, someone stumbled upon the binding immortal rope in this very market and became a powerful ability user. If his memory serves him correctly, the treasure remains hidden here. Because of his nether fire seed, our protagonist sees energy radiating from an antique. The scene shifts to a man in a suit named Song Tian, head of the Song family and father to Su Jun, who is accompanied by the elderly Huang, an antique appraiser. Song Tian sees our hero from afar and wonders what he is doing there. He recalls advising Su Jun to choose useful friends, and Su Jun had described Xia Yan as a foolish guy who is very easy to manipulate. As Song Tian reflects on this, Elder Huang asks if something is wrong. Song changes the topic, claiming it is nothing, and suggests they continue searching for antiques based on the expertise of the elder. Elder Huang assures him that appraising antiques is his only skill, but laments that most items present are merely crafts. Song remembers that after an ancestral worship ceremony, he began dreaming of his ancestors' teachings, instructing him to search for antiques. This is why he invited Elder Huang for an appraisal, as he is eager to succeed. Elder Huang looks around and exclaims that he has found it. Before he can claim the item, our protagonist gets his hands on it and asks the shopkeeper for the price. The shopkeeper explains it is a gourd from the Ming dynasty and demands 10,000 yuan. Our boy reacts with extreme shock, arguing that 10,000 is far too expensive. He inspects the antique, shows a crack to the shopkeeper, and points out how it is tied with a broken string. Cheyenne claims this is just a normal craft worth 100 yen. The shopkeeper becomes furious, snatches the antique back, and tells our protagonist to go away for wasting his time. Elder Huang asks the shopkeeper if he can take a look, and both he and Song begin inspecting the gourd. Meanwhile, Cheyenne walks away, having obtained what he actually wanted. He muses that no one would suspect the little string is actually a magical treasure, the binding immortal rope. Our hero puts the rope in his pocket and remembers how in his previous life the Song family captured his sister. They did not just take his token. They used her as a blood sacrifice. He is determined that this time he will not let them go. The scene shifts as Huang tells Song Tian about the faint spiritual aura of the gourd. When Song is about to question the shopkeeper, our protagonist interrupts from behind. He asks if Song is there to browse the antique street. Song turns with a smile, recognizing Xiaoyan, though he never expected him to be interested in antiques. He mentions that he learned about the family heirloom from Shijun and suggests they talk about it later. Xiaoyan then yells that even if Song is wealthy, he is still buying such a small gourd, loudly questioning if the item is actually valuable. When the crowd hears this, they rush toward the stall, believing the gourd must be a prize since Elder Huang is an expert. People begin bidding higher. One offers 12,000 while another offers 20,000, fueling the greed of the shopkeeper. Shijun's father becomes furious, yelling that he arrived first, but the shop is now full of people demanding to bid. One person offers 50,000. Song finally buys it, but only after spending 17,000 more than the original price. He is angry with Xiaoyan as this entire situation was caused by him. Our protagonist then mentions the heirloom Song brought up earlier. Song admits he heard of it from Su Jun and asks to see it. Our hero shows him the heirloom, and with a single glance, Elder Huang realizes it is a true treasure. He asks to see it clearly, but Xian mischievously denies him, stating he cannot give it casually to others. Song attempts to use the friendship between his son and our hero to gain access, but Xiaoyan still denies him, claiming he does not even know Shujun. As he prepares to leave, Mr. asks if he wants anything in return for letting them see the token. Our protagonist takes out his phone and demands money, 1,000 yuan per minute for 5 minutes. He states that if they do not like the offer, he will leave, but Mr. Song agrees to give him the money. Our protagonist agrees and hands over the token. With the money extorted from Mr. Song, he begins stockpiling vast quantities of water and food. Shai Yen decides to store these supplies within the 6 great hells for safekeeping. Sadaji explains that the prison functions as a stasis field. Any item stored inside remains completely unchanged by time. Our hero also considers capturing live animals to ensure he can eat fresh chicken later. Our boy realizes it makes perfect sense for a fox spirit like Sadaji to encourage such a plan. After a few minutes, the initial payment runs out. Xiaoyan approaches the pair and asks if they wish to pay for a few more minutes of observation. Instead, Mr. Song demands to know if he is willing to sell the artifact. Our protagonist demands 10 million yuan, arguing that because the token has been passed down for 1,000 years, the price is not expensive at all. Our protagonist then walks away, claiming he has other matters to attend to. The appraiser suggests that Song should negotiate the price because the token is a genuine antique, but Song dismisses him, offering empty praise for his help before sending him back. Left alone, Mr. Song calls Shujun and orders him to gather the clan members. He commands his son to find Shuryen and his sister immediately and bring them back with the token. He is so furious that he resolves to kill the girl as well, remembering his ancestors' demands for a female blood sacrifice. However, this confrontation is exactly what our protagonist intended to provoke, though he briefly regrets not squeezing more money out of the man first. The scene shifts to Xiaoyun standing with her suitcase, informing her brother that she is ready to go. As they prepare to leave, a woman runs toward them, calling for them to wait. She is Beishan, Xiaoyun's homeroom teacher. When the girl asks why she has come, the teacher insists she cannot leave because of an important exam scheduled for the following day. Our hero explains that he instructed his sister to take a temporary leave from school. Shuyun glares at him, confirming he is the brother. She begins yelling, noting that Shuyun is her top student. Having heard the siblings live alone since their parents passed away, she expresses her disappointment, claiming she never expected her brother to be so careless. She refuses to agree to the leave, citing the girl's bright future. Every time Xiaoyan attempts to explain, she interrupts, shouting that as long as the earth is not exploding, the girl must stay in school. Realizing how loud she has become, the teacher calms herself. Our protagonist tells her she is a great teacher, but suggests she immediately stock up on a large supply of food, water, medicine, and weapons. He warns her she will need them very soon. She wonders if he has lost his mind, speaking of supplies as if the world is actually ending. As the siblings depart, she can only pray for the girl's health. Later, at their home, Xiaoyan packs his belongings while Xiaoyun sits on the bed, confused by the sudden urgency. He assures her that no matter what happens, he will protect her. Our protagonist ties the heirloom token around her neck and tells her he is going out for a while, strictly instructing her not to open the door for anyone. She asks him to return early so she can make dinner. Our hero knows that as long as she wears the token, he can always track her whereabouts. Now he simply needs to focus on securing more money. Xiaoyan exits the elevator, unaware at first that Rulin is lurking behind a nearby wall. She is on a call with Shijun, learning that Yoon is no longer at school. Rulin directs him toward the house instead, and Shijun instructs her to stall for time until he can arrive. In the next moment, she steps out in front of our protagonist, asking if he missed her and mentioning that Shijun wishes to meet with him. Cheyenne simply ignores her and continues walking. Offended by his indifference, she demands to know why he is acting this way. She grabs his arm, adopting a loving tone to ask why he is considering a breakup, wondering aloud if he is merely jealous. Our hero pulls his arm from her grasp, stating that the very thought of being in a relationship with her makes him sick. He tells her to go away, but she begins yelling at him. Ignoring her outbursts, Cheyenne continues on his way. When she asks where he is going, he reveals his property deed and explains he is on his way to sell the house. Rulon is shocked as it is revealed she only dated him because of his property. She asks why he would ever sell it, and our protagonist replies that he needs quick cash and is willing to sell it cheaply. He suggests that if she wants it, she should buy it herself. Suspicious, she wonders why he is so calm about selling a home worth 3 million yuan. When she asks for his price, he demands only 1 million. She assumes he might be drowning in debt, but regardless of his reasons, she decides to use the transaction to buy more time for Shu Jun. He asks if she is interested, noting that if she isn't, he will head straight to an agency. Eager to secure the deal, she suggests a down payment of 300,000 with the rest to follow later. Our hero remains firm, demanding the full payment immediately. Ruolan considers that since Shu Jun intends to kill him soon, any money she pays will eventually find its way back to her anyway. She agrees to the full amount and accompanies him to the real estate office. At the office, Ruolan calls her mother to explain the purchase, insisting the money will return to them. Her mother screams in protest as these are the family's life savings, but Ruolan manages to calm her down and secure the funds. Meanwhile, Xiaoyan waits impatiently, stating he will only sign the documents once the full payment is received. She eventually sends the money. Roland gloats internally, thinking our protagonist will never have the chance to spend the cash since he is marked for death. Simultaneously, Xiaoyan is thinking that the house will lose all its value once the apocalypse begins. And without their savings, she and her family will have no means to survive. When she suggests they go out to celebrate, he agrees. The scene shifts to the front of the protagonist's apartment building. Shijun's clan members gather outside discussing their plan to seize Xiaoyan and his sister. They decide to move in on the girl before our hero returns. Inside the apartment, Xiaoyun remains in the kitchen, quietly preparing dinner for her brother. Shijun stands in front of Xiaoyun's home, calling for Xiaoyun to open the door. She questions his presence and informs him that her brother is currently out. He reveals he is well aware of this, but insists she let him in, complaining about the heat outside. Behind him, his men stand ready to attack. Just as she prepares to unlock the door, she remembers the warning of our protagonist and tells Shijun he must wait outside until her brother returns. Shijun begins knocking furiously, claiming he is hurt by her lack of trust. While she offers an apology, one of the men begins picking the lock using various tools. Shijun asks if she has the family token with her, and she admits that our protagonist gave it to her to wear. The moment she confirms this, the group barges into the house. One man restrains her while Shijun mocks her, stating this could have been avoided if she had simply cooperated. He inspects the amulet, confirming it is exactly what his father sought. Shijun reminds him that he is supposed to be her brother's best friend. Shijun laughs, revealing he has always viewed our hero as a fool. He boasts about his illegal business dealings, explaining that he intended to use Yayen as a scapegoat if he were ever caught. He even mentions that our protagonist was the one who inadvertently introduced him to Ruolan. When she begs him to let her go, he slaps her across the face while his men jeer at her. As the group prepares to escalate their assault, the environment abruptly shifts. The apartment vanishes, and they find themselves transported to a different world. They appear to be in a luxurious pool surrounded by beautiful women who serve them, believing they have entered paradise. The men relax as the women feed them roasted meat. One girl asks Shu Jun if he enjoys the food. When he confirms that he does, the illusion shatters. The girl remarks that a truly great person enjoys their own flesh most of all. The pool water turns a deep visceral red, and they realize they are sitting in a bath of blood. The realization hits that they are not in paradise, but in hell. As the men begin to scream, Sadaji appears before them. She asks if they are enjoying their stay and mockingly offers them a choice for their next meal: the heart of Bigan, the meat of Yi Cow, or the eyes of loyal dogs. Shijun and his lackeys remain physically inside the house, trapped in a shared hallucination that leaves them shivering with terror. Shijun watches in confusion, unable to comprehend the bizarre sight of her captors screaming at thin air. As they snap out of the trance, the men realize something is deeply suspicious about the token. Shijun, consumed by rage, yells at the artifact and calls it a worthless piece of trash. Suddenly, a spectral hand emerges from the heirloom and badly scratches his face. The unbearable pain causes him to drop the token, which clatters to the floor. Our hero appears at that moment and calmly picks up the artifact. The men shrink back in fear at his sudden arrival. Ruolan then enters the room, rushing to Shijun's side and frantically asking what happened to him. Despite his injuries, He orders his men to seize the token, shouting that it is not an ordinary item but a powerful treasure. Shiyun yells for her brother to be careful as the men prepare to launch a coordinated attack. Within the realm of the token, Sudaji tells our protagonist that this chaos is Lei Gensi's fault. Our protagonist briefly considers summoning his subordinates, but orders the bear demon to stay back, knowing the beast's massive size would destroy the entire building. He decides to handle these petty matters himself to test his own awakening power. Cheyenne turns the fire of his eyes upon the attackers. Within minutes, the men are engulfed in flames, screaming for help until they lie burnt and broken across the floor. Shujun and Rulin are paralyzed, unable to comprehend the slaughter. Shirkwin wonders aloud if our hero has mastered some form of demonic magic. When Xia Yen turns his gaze toward them, Roland desperately reminds him that Shijun is his best friend and pleads with him to remember their past. Our protagonist asks what past she could possibly be referring to. He lists their betrayals. They tried to take his sister, his heirloom, and his girlfriend has been with his enemy all along. He tells them both that they disgust him and that he has no desire to remember anything about them. Struggling to his feet, Shujun claims this is all a misunderstanding. He nudges Rulon to intervene, reminding her that she is the girlfriend. Rulon quickly shifts her tactics, asking Xiaoyan if he still truly wants to marry her. She claims that even if he has nothing, she will still be his, provided he tells her the secret of his powers. While she stands in front of Xiaoyun to distract him, Shujun draws a knife behind his back and lunges. Our protagonist anticipates the move and fights back with the fire from his eyes. He muses that he never fully understood why he was granted this power, but now he realizes the world is full of people like Su Jun, who need to be burned until nothing remains. In front of the Song family's ancestral temple, Song Tian stands before the remains of his predecessors, praying for the protection and prosperity of his lineage. He wishes for favorable winds and gentle rains, hoping his family will ascend to new heights. Suddenly, a thick red mist swirls before him, and an ancient spiritual relic manifests, demanding a blood sacrifice. Song Tian pleads for patience, promising his ancestors that he will prepare the necessary elements for the ritual very soon. The ancestral spirit reveals that the apocalypse will begin in 3 days and warns him to prepare. As the spirit fades, Song Tian immediately orders his men to stockpile massive quantities of water and supplies. Just as he prepares to send a messenger to command Shu Jun to bring the sacrifice, the temple doors burst open with a deafening crash. Someone tosses an unconscious Shu Jun onto the floor. Our protagonist steps into the light, telling them not to bother searching for him as he has come to meet them personally. Upon seeing the state of his son, Song Tian becomes consumed by fury. He orders his men to execute Cheyenne for daring to injure his heir and desecrate their temple. As the guards rush forward, our hero opens his fire eye and commands the flames to strike. In an instant, the temple is filled with the screams of men being consumed by the blaze. Cheyenne steps forward through the smoke and mockingly asks if Song Tian is all right. The elder Song draws a gun and points it at our protagonist. But with a simple snap of his fingers, Cheyenne turns the weapon to ashes. The intense heat of the flames also badly injures his hand. Our protagonist reflects on how formidable his power is even at the first level. Terrified and believing he is about to die, Sang Tian retreats toward the inner sanctum, screaming for his ancestors to save him. The spirit from earlier reappears, introducing itself as Huide, the fire of the ancient Ingwa star. The entity commands our hero to kneel. Under the crushing weight of the spirit's flames, Xia Yen finds himself unable to resist and drops to his knees. The spirit then begins to heal the wounds of Song Tian and his fallen men. Seeing our protagonist suppressed, Song Tian mocks him, claiming a righteous god has arrived to destroy him for his evil deeds. The gigantic spirit looms over our protagonist, who realizes the Song family was far better prepared for the apocalypse than he initially thought. They clearly possessed a powerful guardian all along. Cheyenne had only intended to extort some money and pilfer a few antiques, but he realizes he has stumbled upon something far more valuable. Suddenly, Spirit attempts to crush our boy underfoot, but he narrowly dodges the blow. As Song Tian gloats, believing Xiaoyan is seconds from death, the air shifts violently. Our hero has summoned the Black Bear Demon. Song Tian watches in absolute shock as the massive beast manifests in the temple. Amidst the chaos of the confrontation, Sudaji informs Xiaoyan that Huide is a formidable fire spirit. She explains that if our protagonist manages to absorb the entity's energy, his own fire control and spiritual capacity will reach unprecedented levels. She warns him that the current power of his talisman is inadequate for such a feat, but the risk might yield a massive reward. When he asks for a strategy, Sadaji suggests infusing the talisman with his own life energy to stabilize a summon capable of defeating a god. Our hero understands the stakes. Spiritual energy is tied to the soul. If they fail or cannot repair his soul within the time limit, he will perish permanently, and the summoned entity could escape the prison. Our protagonist decides to gamble, but with his own insurance policy, he implants the fire seed from his eye directly into the talisman. He knows that if he dies, the fire seed will incinerate the artifact, trapping every demon and god within the great hell forever. This leverage is his only way to ensure the prisoners cooperate and keep him alive. He allows the talisman to drain his spiritual energy, sparking a frenzy among the inmates who fear being locked away for eternity. From the depths of the prison, Zion summons the great guardian demon of Luojia Mountain. The black bear demon emerges, ecstatic to breathe the air of the outside world, shouting that he is finally free. Sensing his energy fading fast, an angry Zion demands the bear take action immediately, asking if the beast actually wants his warden to die. The demon reassures our protagonist that he has chosen the right protector and vows to shield him. With Zion standing firmly upon his shoulder, the black bear engages the fire spirit in a brutal struggle. The temple shakes under the weight of their combat. After several minutes of intense fighting, the fire spirit grows weak and falters. Seizing the opening, our hero uses the binding immortal rope to ensnare the entity. The once mighty spirit now lies defeated on the floor, bound tightly by the magical cord. The black bear demon stands victorious over the fallen fire spirit. Song Tian is paralyzed, unable to digest the fact that his ancestral guardian, Huide, has failed so miserably. His eyes fixate on the cord binding the spirit, and he recognizes it instantly. It is the same ragged string that was tied to the gourd he purchased. Our protagonist mockingly thanks his uncle Song for being so generous, noting that because Song only cared for the gourd, Cheyenne was able to secure the binding immortal rope for himself. Song Tian cries out for his ancestor, but the spirit merely flickers as it weakens. As the elder Song breaks down in tears, our hero offers a deal. He will spare Shijun's life in exchange for the family's wealth. He demands a massive payout for the survival of the Song bloodline. The scene shifts to a later moment where a battered Shijun asks his father if he truly surrendered all their money to Xiaoyan. Song Tian replies that currency will soon be worthless because the apocalypse is about to overtake the world. He declares their new priority is survival. He orders his men to liquidate all remaining properties to buy water and food supplies immediately. He also commands them to reinforce the underground shelter at his outskirts mansion. Despite his losses, Song Tian feels a grim gratitude for the coming chaos. Fueled by fury, he instructs the heirs of his family to use the apocalypse as an opportunity to hunt down Xiaoyan, vowing to torture our protagonist for the humiliation he endured. Meanwhile, our hero checks his bank balance, which now sits at $28.09, 60,000 yuan. He muses that if he hadn't been in such a rush, he could have extorted even more from the Song family. He visits a pharmaceutical shop and calmly requests a ton of spiritual cleansing pills. The clerk initially agrees, but then double-checks the quantity in shock, asking if he is joking. She explains that these are traditional pills used to remove toxins and are quite expensive. Our protagonist simply asks if she wants the sale. If not, he will take his business elsewhere. When she mentions a special order usually takes 2 days, he offers a 20% premium to have them by tomorrow night. She quickly agrees and Jian departs. As he walks, our protagonist reflects on the numerous online orders he has placed for similar supplies. This stockpile will be his foundation. He remembers his past life vividly. When humans began turning into zombies, these medicines were vital. He had suffered an agony because he couldn't obtain them, and his sister was eventually killed while searching for these very pills to save him. Our hero is determined that the past will not repeat itself. Back at his house, Cheyenne considers the Song family's short-sightedness. While they focus only on food, he knows that the most important resource after the collapse will be skill users. With a ton of cleansing pills, he can effectively control an entire army of empowered survivors. Sitting on his sofa, our protagonist inspects his heirloom. The infernal fire burns within it, and Sadaji offers her congratulations. She explains that the fire spirit has refined the infernal fire into a red lotus flower. This new form possesses the power to shatter any illusion. Even fantasies like her own meat and wine traps will no longer affect him. Furthermore, his power has entered the second phase, granting our hero far more precise control over fire than ever before. Our hero realizes that capturing the first spirit has proven incredibly useful. Within the prison, the Black Bear Demon and Sadaji are now bickering over who will be summoned next, both eager for the opportunity. Assisting the warden lowers their wickedness levels. Because the bear helped him, his level has dropped to 90 while Sadaji remains at 100. She loudly demands to be next in line. Cheyenne tells both of them to stay quiet, his authority silencing the squabble. The scene shifts to the horrific demon Legency, who warns our protagonist never to summon him again. He threatens that if he is released, he will do nothing but seek an opportunity to escape. Our hero counters by noting that as his powers grow, he can open more doors and recruit even more formidable demons. He questions why he would even bother with someone so uncooperative. As Xiaoyan leaves the Great Hell, he confidently remarks that Lei Gensi will likely end up begging for a summons later. Standing by his window, our protagonist looks at the moon with the heirloom in hand. He reflects that tomorrow is the second to last day before the apocalypse, and he must maximize this time. With 20 million when still in his account, he has one specific target left to acquire. The next day, Xiaoyan arrives at a high-end jewelry exhibition. He identifies a stone radiating a massive amount of crystallized energy, enough to propel his powers to stage 3. He remembers that in his past life, a different individual claimed the stone and gained immense strength. This time, our protagonist will not let it slip away. At the auction, the stone is finally presented with a starting price of 3 million yuan. The bidding begins at a steady pace, rising to 4 million until a man named Grand Hao bids 5 million from the back of the room. The hall falls silent as everyone respects Hao's influence. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension. 6 million. It is our hero, the crowd murmurs, wondering why a student-looking boy is participating. The auction manager approaches Jin, reminding him that only black card members can bid. Our protagonist calmly produces his card, and the manager respectfully invites him further into the hall. Onlookers speculate that Xiaoyan must be the heir to a secret wealthy dynasty. The host asks if anyone will top the boy's offer. Grand Hao, visibly annoyed, bids 7 million. When a bystander advises Xiaoyan to show some respect to the older man, our protagonist ignores the warning and raises the bid to 10 million. Grand Hao is furious, but the woman beside him suggests the stone isn't worth further investment, mocking the silly boy for overspending. Grand Hao demands Xiaoyan's name. When our hero provides it, the man vows never to forget it. Now possessing the stone, our hero prepares to leave while the auction continues. As he reaches the exit, chaos erupts. People are screaming and running, shouting about a monster. A creature charges toward the building, likely drawn by the concentrated energy of the jade in Cheyenne's hand. He realizes that with the apocalypse so close, the evil spirits within mundane objects, like the fan the monster emerged from, are beginning to awaken. This is just the beginning of the supernatural takeover. As the demon closes in, Grand Hao surprises our protagonist by running toward him, shouting a warning to watch out for the monster. Xiaoyan eliminates the monster with just a few swift movements, leaving the creature defeated and the area silent. Our protagonist stands in the same position, deeply considering the implications of this early supernatural manifestation. Behind him, Grand Hao remains frozen, trying to digest the impossible scene he just witnessed. He realizes that Xian is not a normal human at all and begins to think that he should make our hero his master. The scene shifts to the street below the building where Xian resides. Delivery men are loudly asking people to clear the way so they can move forward with a massive influx of supplies. Neighbors watch in confusion, wondering what the young man is going to do with such an overwhelming amount of stuff. It is revealed here that despite his recent actions, our protagonist is generally seen as a person of good character by the locals. However, his landlord, Mrs. Zhang, has a different opinion. She sneers at the commotion, claiming he is destined to fail in his business endeavors. When a woman asks if she is truly going to rent the warehouse to someone else, Mrs. Zhang replies that she isn't actually interested in renting it to anyone. At this moment, our hero arrives from the other side, lost in his thoughts and mentally reviewing his list to ensure he isn't forgetting any critical supplies. The delivery man approaches and asks Jian to check all the current goods, mentioning that the next shipment scheduled for the following day will exceed the warehouse's capacity. Our boy tells him there is no need for concern, as he will simply go to their facility directly for future pickups. As the delivery men depart, Mrs. Zhang watches with intense jealousy, unable to fathom how an orphan who doesn't respect his elders became so wealthy overnight. She feels a bitter sense of entitlement, believing she should be the one buying these things. Her grandson Xiaobao suddenly runs into the warehouse and begins peeing on the floor. Instead of being ashamed, Mrs. Zhang expresses pride in the child, praising him for being able to pee on his own. She tells our protagonist not to be biased against the boy because he is just a child. In response, our protagonist picks the child up by his collar and throws him directly onto Mrs. Zhang. Her clothes are ruined by the mess, and the child falls to the floor. She begins yelling at Xiaoyan, asking if he feels ashamed of what he just did. While closing the dock door in her face, our hero simply says that he does not feel shame. This leaves her incredibly furious. Seeing her grandson playing with firecrackers, a malicious idea strikes her. She plans to put firecrackers in the warehouse to burn everything inside. The scene changes to Xiaoyan standing alone in his warehouse, looking at the massive collection of goods. He begins sending all the items into the great mortal prison. He asks Sadaji to organize everything into an empty cell, and she starts working on the task immediately. She informs our protagonist that she can also organize the live animals and explains that the spiritual energy within the prison will make their meat even more delicious for them to eat later. Our protagonist reveals to Sadaji that the apocalypse is about to hit the real world, necessitating the purchase of more live animals to ensure they can survive the coming famine. While discussing preparations, the black bear demon advises Xiaoyan on cultivation, noting that during a collapse, seeds and soil are the most vital resources for saving lives. Our hero realizes that although he has purchased seeds, he still needs quality land to plant them. He begins flying across the outskirts to find suitable earth for the great hell. Standing over a vast stretch of land, he wonders if it will fit within the prison's dimensions before ordering the soil to be absorbed. The volume of earth begins to exceed the available space in the great hell, causing Sadaji to yell and cough as she warns him to stop. She screams that if he continues, they will drown in the sand. Although our protagonist has gathered 10 tons of soil, he knows this is far from enough. He understands that after the apocalypse begins, even the earth itself will be corrupted and changed, so he must secure as much as possible today. With no time to lose, he prepares to utilize his Red Lotus powers to manage the intake. The scene shifts to Mrs. Zhang, who is busy preparing to toss firecrackers into the warehouse of our hero. Her grandson, Xiaobao, appears and shows her a mirror. She asks him if he stole it from the local mirror shop, further highlighting her lack of morals. A sinister purple energy, an aura of pure evil, begins to radiate from the object. When she looks into the glass, she realizes a monster is staring back at her. Terrified, she falls backward. It becomes clear that Xiaobao has already been corrupted by something dark. The way he looks at his own grandmother is predatory. He insists she look at the mirror, shoving it into her face while she screams for him to stop. Within seconds, the demon enters Mrs. Zhang's body. Now possessed, the creature that was once the landlord immediately turns and kills her own grandson. The scene changes to a large warehouse located at the port. As a worker checks the weather, he hears the distant shouts of his colleagues, claiming they have caught a bunch of monstrous abnormal fish. As the men gather to wonder at the strange appearance of the catch, another worker inside the warehouse announces that it is time to close up for the night. He asks his fellow worker Old Wu to pass him the inventory log, but Old Wu remains silent. The man's hands are visibly turning a sickly blue, resembling the hands of a zombie. His colleague, noticing the transformation, asks him if he is feeling okay. As the worker asks Old Wu if he is alright, 3 men in suits enter the hall and demand to know if all the city's spiritual cleansing pills are stored here. The worker points toward the stacked boxes, explaining that they have already been ordered by customers and suggesting that if they want any, they should purchase them through official channels. Ignoring him, the leader of the group orders his men to seize all the boxes. When the worker tries to stop them, the leader attacks him, knocking him unconscious with a few punches. He then orders his fellows to hurry as they are running out of time. Suddenly, hand reaches out from beneath the table and grabs the leg of the lead man. As the man struggles to free himself, he realizes the hand belongs to Old Wu, who is completely transformed into a zombie. The creature begins attacking the goons. They fight back, but Old Wu has already successfully infected the first man. Even as the leader continues to order his men to secure the medicine, visible changes begin to manifest in his body as he too starts turning into a zombie. Our protagonist enters the warehouse at that moment, stating that since he bought all these pills with his own money, they cannot simply steal them. He asks the men why they are in such a hurry to die. One of the men retorts that this port and everything near it belongs to their boss, advising Zion to surrender the pills in exchange for any amount of money he desires. Our hero denies the offer and warns them to leave immediately or face the consequences. The looters launch an attack, but our protagonist disappears into the air. A moment later, he is seen standing atop the boxes of spiritual cleansing pills. He opens an upper crate, revealing food supplies like fish and crabs, and mockingly asks if these also belong to their boss. The leader, who is rapidly losing his humanity to the virus, asks what he wants from them. Xian tells them he is merely learning how to steal from the experts. From a distance, firelight can be seen erupting from the warehouse. The scene shifts to a luxurious mansion where a woman sits on a sofa, interrogating her men on how they failed to secure the medicine from a single boy. One man explains that Xiaoyan is no ordinary person, describing him as more of a monster. He recounts how our protagonist kicked them out of the warehouse, and when they managed to open the doors again, the entire facility was empty. He notes it is physically impossible for one boy to transport so much cargo alone in such a short time. The woman asks for the boy's name, and they inform her that the receipt identifies him as Xia Yan. She begins to wonder if he might be a skill user, specifically one with a storage ability. As she contemplates this, the infected man beside her loses control and finally completes his transformation into a real zombie. The mysterious woman orders her workers to burn the infected man immediately, explaining that even cleansing pills are useless once the transformation begins. She warns them strictly to avoid touching him or coming into contact with his blood. Suddenly, the zombie lunges at her, but she reveals her own latent powers. With a sharp click of her fingers, thick tree branches burst through the window at high speed, skewering the zombie's body and tearing through its flesh. Her men watch in absolute shock, realizing their boss is also one of these gifted beings. She coldly informs them that this is only the beginning, ordering them to mobilize more men and continue the search for weapons. Looking out the window, she realizes the world is moments away from total collapse. The scene shifts to a hand holding a handful of cleansing pills. It is the hand of our protagonist. Xian instructs his sister to take the medicine, carefully detailing the necessary safety measures she must follow. While Xian listens intently, she asks what is actually going to happen to their world. Our hero tells her they must move and promises to reveal the whole story on the way. As they walk through the corridor of their building, the atmosphere feels suffocating. Xiaoyan explains that this heaviness is due to evil spirits becoming visible to human eyes. Screams and frantic voices begin to echo from the surrounding apartments as the siblings pass by. Nearby Mrs. Zhang, who is not yet fully transformed into a monster, wanders her hallway, murmuring that everything in this world belongs to her. She yells at neighbors to stop wandering before exiting her room, oblivious to the firecrackers still burning and smoldering inside her apartment. The scene changes to show Rulan and her mother standing in front of Zion's building. Rulan gloats that the property is finally hers now. At that same moment, our hero and his sister step into a taxi to head toward their destination. While Rulan's mother expresses concern for their safety, Rulan dismisses her, claiming she doesn't care about the danger because she has Shai Yen to rely on. It is revealed that Rulan has undergone extensive reconstructive surgeries and a Sakura-style makeover to enhance her beauty. Her mother is certain that with this new look, she will surely regain her hold on our protagonist. They spot his taxi pulling away and immediately begin following him, desperate not to lose sight of his abilities. They eventually arrive at the entrance of a zoo where a man is arguing with a worker because an animal attacked his son. As the siblings enter the park, Xiaoyun asks why they have come to such a place, suggesting that if people are turning into zombies, they should be finding a secure place to hide. Our hero chooses not to share the details of his past sufferings to protect her from the pain of those memories, so he simply agrees with her for now. However, he explains that hiding cannot save their lives for long and that they need true strength to survive. Our protagonist tells her that in the apocalypse, anything can happen and he cannot protect her at all times. He insists that she must grow her own strength to protect herself. Xiaoyun's eyes light up with a newfound determination. She excitedly tells her brother that she truly wants to get stronger, as she has no desire to remain a burden to him in the dangerous days ahead. The scene shifts to Rualan and her mother, who are stealthily following the siblings through the park. They are both confused, wondering what Sia Yen and Sia Yun are actually doing at a zoo of all places. Rualan's mother suggests they orchestrate a coincidental encounter, confident that Rualan's surgically enhanced beauty will charm him instantly. As Rulan begins to retouch her makeup, the surrounding animals begin to stir. Their eyes have turned to predatory crimson, and they growl with a hunger that fixates directly on Rulan. Our protagonist and his sister arrive at the turtle enclosure. Inside the talisman, Sadaji informs Sien that something very special is present, as she can smell a unique and ancient scent. The black bear demon adds that the entity is smelly and tough, possessing a lifespan far exceeding even that of black bears. Cheyenne's gaze falls upon a gigantic ancient turtle named Nan Nan, whose documented age is over 100 years. He recalls from his past life that when a descending god attempted to pass this very spot, the turtle refused to budge and even bit the divine entity. Despite the god's power, they were unable to harm the turtle in the slightest. Cheyenne realizes that if he can secure this turtle's protection for Cheyenne, he will be free to act without constant worry for her safety. He calls out, "Master Turtle," but the creature remains motionless. To provoke a response, he manifests his red lotus powers and loudly muses that he is hungry and might fancy some turtle soup. The turtle finally speaks, remarking that humans are incredibly impatient. She asks why he feels the need to threaten her instead of simply asking for help. Xiaoyan tells her bluntly that he doesn't have time to waste because the world is ending. He introduces himself and Xiaoyan. Upon hearing the girl call her Nan Nan, the Master Turtle becomes uncharacteristically shy, explaining that the name is just a coincidence and that she has actually lived for 3,000 years, a mere blink of an eye to her. Inside the Great Hell, Sadaji and the Black Bear become overexcited, plotting to absorb the turtle's spiritual essence to extend their own lives by 100 years. Shalian ignores their greed and asks Nan Nan to protect his sister, inquiring what she wants in exchange. The turtle notes that the red moon will claim the sky today, and everything is already falling into chaos. She asks him to protect the other turtles in the exhibit. Xiaoyan offers to move them all to the Great Mortal Prison, where he will build a pond for them. Upon hearing the name of the Great Hell, Master Turtle becomes furious. She realizes who Cheyenne is and yells that a boy like him cannot possibly control such a dangerous prison, warning that a single mistake on his part could cause damage 10 times worse than the apocalypse gods themselves. She challenges him, stating that if he can bear her full weight, she will agree to help him. Cheyenne accepts the challenge immediately. The massive turtle shifts her weight onto him, causing Xiaoyun to scream out in terror for her brother. The scene shifts back to Rulan and her mother, still searching for the siblings. Suddenly, a mutated alpaca lunges at Rulan and snatches the wig right off her head. As Rulan screams at the animal to return her hair, the alpaca spits directly into her open mouth. The mutated alpacas spit directly onto Rulan and her mother. Rulan becomes absolutely furious, but her mother urges her to remain calm and focus solely on the goal of reclaiming Shurian. Both women begin running toward the turtle enclosure, which is permeated by a foul, pungent smell. In her haste, Rulan's mother steps on something incredibly sticky. Disgusted, she wipes her shoes off on a nearby turtle's shell and walks away. However, as she moves, the red glow of the apocalypse begins to manifest in that turtle's eyes as well. As she reaches the area where the sounds of the siblings are audible, Rulan plans her coincidental encounter, believing that when she emerges from behind the bushes, Xiaoyan will fall for her beauty once again. But as soon as she reaches her hand toward the foliage, a mutated turtle lunges out and bites her wrist. These turtles now possess unnaturally strong teeth, and their bite inflicts unbearable pain. Remarkably, Rulan refuses to scream, determined not to show this weak side of herself to our protagonist. While she suffers in silent agony, 2 more turtles emerge from behind and sink their teeth into her mother's legs. Rulan struggles to stand and finally begins shouting to Xiaoyan for help. But in her frantic movements, she loses her balance and falls headfirst into the murky turtle pond. The scene shifts back to Xiaoyan, who is straining under the immense crushing weight of the Master Turtle. From within the talisman, the black bear demon begs to be summoned, claiming he could kill the turtle with a single slap, but Sion ignores the suggestion. He is determined to win this trial of strength through his own will. Nan Nan, the Master Turtle, advises him to give up, warning that when the apocalypse truly arrives, he will be powerless. She suggests he entrust the Great Hell to her instead, promising that she will protect both the prison and his family. She remains convinced that the mortal prison is far too dangerous for a boy like him to handle. Even Su Deji and the Black Bear begin to lose hope, fearing their warden is about to be crushed. Suddenly, Xiaoyan defies the pressure and stands up. He declares that if they do not move forward, they fall back, and if they do not believe in their own power, they die. With a sudden surge of strength, he picks up the massive master turtle and tosses her aside. Nan Nan is completely shocked that a seemingly weak human could perform such a feat. Inside the talisman, the Black Bear and Sadaji immediately switch tactics, bloodthirstily suggesting that our protagonist kill the master turtle. Cheyenne draws his sword and stands on the verge of executing her, but he halts the blade. Bound by the god-binding rope and facing certain death, he gives her a final choice: surrender or die. Facing the cold edge of his power, Nan Nan begins to desperately appeal for her life, begging him not to harm her. The master turtle begs Xian to stop. While weeping, she explains how she used the ancient Mount Tai technique to stimulate his bone reconstruction, and laments that he is repaying her kindness with a beating. She pleads with Xiaoyan to intervene, but our protagonist informs the master turtle that his strength has improved enough to handle things without help. Shiyun steps forward, asking her brother not to hurt the creature, since she isn't posing a threat. It appears the master turtle has taken a liking to the girl. She shrinks into a tiny form and settles onto Shiyun's hand, insisting on being called Nan Nan. She assures the sister that she will protect her from any danger. As the girl hugs Nan Nan happily, our hero watches the scene in shock. Black Bear reappears in tears, mourning the fact that he won't be having turtle soup. Xiaoyun remains skeptical, hesitant to leave his sister under the care of Monster, who clearly dislikes him. Nan Nan reassures him, claiming she was only teasing. She explains that an old turtle like herself cannot control the mortal prison on her own. As she speaks, her original body enters the boy's heirloom, locking herself within the prison. Now that Nan Nan is under his control, our boy orders her to take care of his sister, threatening a punishment of 10,000 lightning bolts should she fail. With his sister's safety seemingly assured, Cheyenne climbs a tree and realizes the zoo animals have gained demonic powers. He decides to transport all animals that haven't mutated yet into the mortal prison, starting by sending the remaining turtles to the Great Hell. As he begins moving his sister to a safer location, Rulon and her mother arrive. Our protagonist furiously demands to know why they are there. Rulon begs for a reconciliation, convinced he still harbors feelings for her. Her mother adds sweet words to the plea, and Rulon goes as far as to say she is willing to forgive him if he returns to her. Xiaoyan flies away with his sister while calling Rualin and her mother crazy, leaving them both stranded among the gathering demonic animals. While Rualin continues to brag about her fake beauty, a pack of wolves suddenly attacks her and her mother. On the other side of the zoo, our protagonist flies toward the exit with Xiaoyun, systematically collecting all the animals that remain in good condition. He observes the zoo administration office and realizes the staff has completely abandoned the premises. Our hero tells Xiaoyun to stay put for a while since no one is likely to come to this location. Xiaoyun begins checking the entirety of the office while his sister tells him to go ahead with his business, insisting she can protect herself. She assures her brother that with Nan Nan by her side, nothing will happen to her, and she expresses her intent to transform into a strong person as the apocalypse arrives. As soon as our boy orders the master turtle, the creature covers the entire building with her magic, so no animal can enter. After ensuring that Xiaoyun is safe, our protagonist exits through the window to attend to other matters while Xiaoyun waves goodbye to him. The scene changes to show Xiaoyun flying over the city as citizens turn into zombies and destroy everything in sight. The moon begins turning red, leading the boy to think he must hurry because time is short. The city is almost ruined with fire everywhere and the zombie virus spreading at high speed. News channels are filled with reports about these human-eating demons and instructions on how to stop them or seek protection. The scene moves forward to a girl sitting on a sofa watching the news. While viewing the zombie videos, she wonders if the world is truly going to end. These reports have taken over all social media and news channels. Some people are shown believing the world is ending, while others continue to deny the facts of the catastrophe. The girl is suffering from a fever, and her fingers are already turning blue, mirroring the transformation of the zombies. She swallows the cleansing pills, but the effort is too much, and she suddenly falls unconscious. The scene shifts back to Shiryan, who stands atop a building in anticipation. He remembers that in his previous life, a great god descended upon Emerald City at 5 o'clock, followed by the emergence of lesser gods across the city at 6 in the evening. Our hero focuses his memory, recalling that the first deity is destined to appear at the Imperial Tower. That specific deity was responsible for the vast destruction of both the city and humanity, and our protagonist intends to absorb all of its energy. He begins to meditate, causing the red lotus fire to manifest in front of him. Our boy realizes his powers have reached the third stage, and the red lotus fire has even evolved a new ability that he needs to test. The red lotus fire seed has grown significantly more powerful. Our hero understands that the incorporation of the turtle spirit into the mortal prison is the reason his strength has reached this third level. He stands ready to fight against the gods, but he soon hears a commotion behind him. A group of men runs toward him shouting that this is a private area and he is trespassing. One of the men informs his boss that the elevators and doors are all locked, making it impossible for anyone to have reached the roof, but the manager strikes him and dismisses the explanation as a mere excuse. The men continue charging toward our protagonist while he remains focused on the sky, which has turned a deep bloody red. The god arrives, leaving the onlookers unable to believe their eyes as they wonder what is happening. Suddenly, a horrific six-legged demon appears before them. This is the bull demon holding the rank of soldier. The men are consumed by terror, yelling about the presence of a monster and a demon. The boss yells at his men to protect him, but they ignore his cries and run for their lives. The demon chases them down, killing the men one by one in a brutal display of speed. Eventually, the monster turns its attention to Cheyenne and places its massive leg upon him. Despite the creature's immense weight and strength, it is unable to crush him. Our protagonist remains unfazed, calmly telling the demon that he intends to use it as practice for his new abilities. Meanwhile, the surviving men watch from a distance, wondering how a single human can possibly stand his ground against such a gigantic demon. They realize our hero must be incredibly strong to resist the creature's power. The demon challenges the boy, growling that it will kill him very soon. In response, Jian charges toward the monster at full speed with his sword drawn. He taunts the beast, asking whether he should cut off a leg or an arm first. With a display of overwhelming might, our boy severs the demon's right arm and leg in a single series of strikes. The bull demon becomes furious as it collapses, but our protagonist tells the creature to calm down, since it still has its other limbs intact. Our hero informs the demon that he plans to take his time and enjoy himself for a while longer before finally delivering the killing blow. Xiaoyan proceeds to cut off the limbs of the bull demon one after the other. Our protagonist realizes that this particular demon is actually quite weak, but the experience leaves him feeling ready to face much stronger monsters. Our hero demands that the bull demon surrender and hand over its spiritual energy. The creature refuses at first, insisting it will fight to the very end. However, as soon as the bull demon catches sight of the mortal prison, it becomes paralyzed with fear and immediately surrenders all its energy to the boy. Through this, Xiaoyan discovers that most demons harbor a deep terror of the mortal prison. His power increases by 5%, a significant gain that allows him to control fire with much greater accuracy. Since it is now past 7 o'clock, our protagonist decides he must act quickly based on the memories of his previous life. The surviving men begin questioning him, desperate to know what is happening and how he managed to kill such a massive beast. He simply tells them to save themselves because the apocalypse has arrived. Our boy then leaps from the building, leaving the men behind as they scream for him to take them along. Left to their own devices, the group wonders what to do, but suddenly one of them begins acting erratically. Nearby, the corpse of the demon has turned a strange shade of blue. One of the men begins transforming into a zombie and attacks his companions, sending the others fleeing for their lives. Similar sounds of chaos echo across the entire city as people begin killing one another. The scene shifts to the Song family village, where the members are hiding in an underground shelter. A subordinate informs Song Tian that another man has developed a fever. Song Tian, who is busy inspecting antiques, dismisses the report and orders the sick person to be taken to the isolation ward. However, the subordinate clarifies that this time, it is Shijun who is suffering from the fever. Upon hearing this, Song Tian immediately begins running toward his son. Shijun is locked inside a room, his body covered in bandages as he moans in agony, calling out for his father to save him. Song Tian orders his men to bring the pills that are known to cure this disease immediately. As soon as the subordinate hands them over, the father throws them towards Shijun and demands that he eat them. Shijun consumes the medicine and quickly begins to feel much better. Realizing that these cleansing pills are incredibly effective, Song Tian begins barking orders at his men to secure more of them. He yells at his staff demanding to know why they hadn't purchased a larger supply earlier. The subordinate explains that the medicine is very common and usually only used for basic fevers, which is why no one paid it much attention. Song Tian orders his men to find these pills by any means necessary. He instructs them not to hesitate even if they have to steal or kill to get them. He is aware that Xiaoyan possesses a vast hoard of these cleansing pills, but he wonders how they can possibly fight our protagonist given his supernatural abilities. Suddenly, Shijun's door bursts open with a loud thud, and the boy emerges brimming with energy. It is clear that Shijun has gained immense power, appearing to have transformed into a skill user. Seeing this, Song Tian orders his men to distribute the pills to those showing mild symptoms to see if they also evolve. Once he builds an army of skill users, he intends to fight our hero and take his revenge. The scene shifts back to the girl on the sofa whose name is Bai. It appears she has been consuming the pills for quite some time now. Suddenly, a frantic knocking at her door breaks the silence. It is Jenner who is begging for help as zombies begin to overtake the local population. While asking about the monsters, Bai tries to unfasten the door chain, but the metal is jammed. The snarling of zombies grows louder from the hallway, indicating the creatures are closing in. Finally, Bai succeeds in forcing the door open, only to find that Shinner has already been injured. Bai asks Shinner if she is injured, and seeing that she truly is, Shinner immediately turns hostile. She begins threatening Bai, demanding the cleansing pills, and insisting that they are the only way to prevent her from turning into a zombie. As the zombies claw at the entrance to the apartment, Shinner betrays her friend, violently pushing Bai out into the hallway, directly in front of the monsters. Baishin begs for her to open the door, but Shinner refuses to budge. It is revealed here that Shinner is not Bai's biological sister, yet Bai has always cared for her as if they were blood relatives. Despite this kindness, Shinner harbors nothing but hatred for her. Leaving Bai Xian to be torn apart by the zombies, she begins a frantic search for the cleansing pills, to save her own life. She discovers a pillbox, but it is completely empty. She sprints through the apartment, tearing the place apart to find more, but her search yields nothing. Her hands are already turning blue as the transformation begins. Suddenly, the song We Don't Talk Anymore starts playing in the background. It is the specific ringtone Shinner set for Bai Xin. Answering the video call, she is shocked to see Bai Xin on the screen, alive and unharmed. Bai holds up the cleansing pills, mockingly asking if she still wants them. While Zinner reels in confusion over how she survived, she begins to beg for her life. She claims she was merely confused for a moment and insists she still cares for her sister, desperate for the medicine that can save her. Bai tells her to stop these games immediately because she is not going to fall for such manipulation again. She admits she once believed Zinner was simply an immature girl lacking a proper education, which is why she felt the need to help her. However, the girl now realizes that this betrayal is how her kindness is being repaid. Bai is deeply disappointed, ignoring the desperate pleas for medicine. She coldly wishes for Zinner to go to hell and repent for her mistakes. As the transformation takes hold, Zinner continues to beg her sister, terrified of her impending death. The scene shifts to Bai Xin standing against a wall. Suddenly, a zombie lunges toward her, but she instantly disappears. This phenomenon occurred earlier when Shinner first pushed her out of the room. She struggles to understand why she keeps becoming transparent and why the zombies are unable to see or sense her presence. While she stands there wondering what is happening to her body, she hears someone calling her name. It is her neighbors who have managed to avoid infection. They inform her about the urgent messages circulating in the resident group chat. When she reads the thread, she realizes the gravity of the situation. Most of the people in the building have already turned into zombies, and no help is coming for the survivors. Together, they begin to deliberate on what their next move should be in this waking nightmare. One of the men among the group expresses his grief, unable to contact his parents while the residents discuss their dire situation. Suddenly, Bai shouts a warning for them to watch out as zombies approach from behind. The group begins yelling at the security office to open the gates, but the threat closes in. Bai instructs the man to grab an electric baton from the security room to fend off the attackers. He manages to kill several zombies one by one, but the victory is short-lived as a massive horde appears, swarming the area from every direction. As the creatures surround them, Bai and the other residents prepare for the end, certain they are about to die. However, a new terror descends from the sky in the form of a giant spider-like monster. Instead of devouring them immediately, the creature ensnares Bai and the others in its thick webbing, seemingly marking them as its territory. Trapped and helpless, Bai wonders what is truly happening to the world and exactly how many more monsters like this one are destined to arrive. Bai wonders if the world is truly ending and what such monsters are doing in the real world. The scene shifts to Xiaoyan, who is actively fighting zombies to protect humankind while a few men watch from a distance, recording videos of the struggle. These people eventually approach our protagonist, questioning how he managed to slaughter the monsters single-handedly. One man mentions he is live streaming the encounter, noting that his broadcast has already reached over 10,000 viewers. Our hero enters a nearby shop using his powers only to realize the survivors have already gathered most of the food and supplies. Nevertheless, using his abilities, he takes the majority of the stock for himself, leaving them with only a few packs of instant noodles. The men accept the meager rations happily at first, viewing them as a gift from the one who saved their lives. Some even offer their remaining food to him as a souvenir. However, an argument soon breaks out among the group regarding the fact that Shenyu took their supplies. While some argue there is nothing wrong with his actions since he is the reason they are still breathing, others claim that because he possesses supernatural powers, he is obligated to save everyone and shouldn't leave them hungry. As they continue to argue, a group of armed men arrives from behind. It is Shijun and his subordinates. They demand information about the boy who appeared on the livestream earlier. The scene changes to show Shijun's armed men brutally beating the other survivors. The victims beg them to stop, insisting they have already shared everything they know. Amidst the violence, a man appears carrying a severed zombie face. Shijun presents the grotesque trophy to another captive. When the man asks what he intends to do with it, Shijun replies that he simply wants to conduct an experiment on him. Shijun forces the zombie to devour the captive man. Once the act is finished, he suddenly decapitates the zombie and discovers a crystal lodged inside its head. It is revealed that when a zombie consumes a human, they condense these specific crystals, which serve to augment a person's supernatural powers. Our protagonist's rival realizes that his group of skill users has now discovered a method to produce these enhancements. They believe that with these crystals they can easily defeat Cheyenne. However, Shijun declares that their top priority remains killing our hero to seize his hoard of pills. Along the way, they intend to slaughter every zombie they encounter to harvest more crystals. While the skill users begin executing the remaining men, the victims scream that this is all Shurian's fault, claiming that if our boy had taken them with him, they wouldn't be facing death. Meanwhile, another god manifests on Earth, and our protagonist begins making his way toward the deity. Shijun and his men catch wind of the arrival and begin heading in the same direction. The scene shifts back to the apartment complex where Bei and the other residents are struggling to free themselves from the thick cobwebs. Bei attempts to turn herself invisible again, but she lacks the necessary energy to trigger the transformation. She ponders the source of her new abilities and realizes she gained these powers only after consuming the cleansing pills. Bai reaches for the pills as her final option, managing to consume them and successfully turning invisible. Just as the monster prepares to devour the pregnant lady, it becomes distracted by the shift in the air caused by the girl's invisibility. At that moment, Xiaoyan arrives and saves the lady, immediately turning his attention to killing the monster. During the exchange, our protagonist learns that this spider is fire-resistant, complicating his usual tactics. Sensing the threat, the creature begins calling for its offspring, summoning thousands of smaller spiders to the scene. On the other side of the area, Shijun continues his approach with his subordinates, gathering a large number of power-increasing crystals as they move. They soon encounter a massive network of cobwebs and wonder about their purpose. One of the men notices a burned hole amidst the webbing and correctly guesses that our hero is responsible given his ability to control fire. The group enters through the opening only to find the interior swarming with spiders. Upon entering, they spot a unique eagle eye on one of the larger creatures. Seeing a new opportunity to gain strength, Shijun moves in and attempts to rip the eye out of the spider. Shijun tears the spider apart and begins licking the liquid from its remains. Within the fluid, he discovers a trace of pure crystal core energy. He immediately orders his men to begin hunting these spiders as well, recognizing their immense utility. From their position, they observe Xiaoyan locked in combat with the giant spider. Shijun advises his followers to continue harvesting the smaller spiders to increase their energy levels. He plans to wait until our protagonist and the monster exhaust one another before moving in to hunt them both. Our hero fights the spider monster with all his might, but he soon spots Shijun busy slaughtering the smaller offspring. Our protagonist wonders if his rival has truly transitioned into a skill user. Shijun and his subordinates become visibly addicted to the spider's liquid, prompting our boy to think that these men certainly possess a greedier appetite than the zombies. The mother spider eventually realizes that Shijun and his men have been devouring her children, and she turns her aggression toward them. Hovering in the sky above, our hero mockingly advises Shijun to offer the creature an apology in advance. As the swarm of spiders shifts its focus toward the armed men, our protagonist watches the chaos unfold from the air. Shijun becomes incredibly furious, shouting a challenge up at Shurien, and vowing to kill him soon now that he has obtained his own supernatural powers. Our protagonist shows a brief interest in speaking with Shijun, though he acknowledges the need to deal with the gigantic spider first. This dismissive attitude sends Shijun into a rage. He orders his men to kill Xia Yan immediately, but they inform him they have completely run out of bullets. Unfazed, Shijun continues to consume the spiders crazily and commands his subordinates to hunt even more. He decides he will not retreat, determined to kill our hero this very day. Seeing their own strength increase, his men follow his orders and continue the harvest. On the other side of the battlefield, our boy attempts to break through the thick shell of the mother spider. The monster reacts by surrounding Xianan with its webbing, binding him tightly in an effort to crush him. Even trapped within the cobweb, our protagonist remains defiant, challenging the monster without fear. He bursts out of the webbing by tearing it apart with his bare hands, declaring that while paradise has doors he will never enter, he will find his way into a doorless hell. Our hero struggles at first to locate the spider's spiritual power, realizing he has fallen into the creature's trap. However, after a series of intense maneuvers, he discovers the spiritual core is positioned behind him. After a great deal of struggle, our protagonist finally gets his hands on the energy source. After absorbing the spiritual power, Xiao Yan reaches the fourth stage of his cultivation. He unlocks the Penetrate Fire Vision, realizing that this new ability allows him to locate the spiritual energy of gods and demons with ease by sensing their distinct signatures. Looking back toward the survivors, he spots Bai and recognizes her as Xiaoyun's teacher. He notes her presence and wonders if her specific ability is truly invisibility. The scene shifts to Shijun, who has reached the second stage of energy and is feeling immensely powerful. He discovers that there are 9 stages in total and believes that once he reaches the 9th, he will transform into a demon. Driven by newfound confidence, he charges toward our protagonist, convinced he now possesses the strength to kill him. However, with a single punch from our hero, Shijun is sent flying backward. Stunned, he refuses to believe this is possible since he has achieved second stage power. Our protagonist informs him that without his father's wealth, he never would have reached even this level. Shurien further warns him that while the cores of mutated creatures can increase one's strength, they carry dangerous side effects. Shijun refuses to listen, accusing the boy of lying to him. He brags that he is walking a divine path, but our protagonist manifests a beautiful illusion to mock him. Shijun wonders if the vision is the true divine path before dismissing it as another one of the boy's games. He continues to boast about being stronger than Xiaoyan, insisting he will be the one to end the fight. Shijun prepares to launch an attack, but he suddenly realizes that something is grabbing his legs from beneath the earth. Zombie spirits emerge from the ground, pulling at him and demanding that he join them. Shijun begins his transformation into a literal monster. Our protagonist explains that this is the direct side effect of slaughtering and consuming so many creatures. It is a process called zombification, and he is destined to become a true zombie. Shijun fails to comprehend the science behind it, but begins begging Shurien for help regardless. Our hero informs him that cleansing pills are the only cure, explaining that Shijun's body cannot digest the volume of zombie essence he consumed. He tells the dying man that he would need to eat several pills just to save his life. Shijun pleads with our boy, even offering to become his slave forever in exchange for salvation. In response, Shurien kicks him across the face, deciding that he will never forgive Shijun after everything he did to him and his sister. Our protagonist produces a box of cleansing pills, showing them to his rival. As Shijun continues to beg, Shijun remarks that he possesses tons of these pills and notes that if the Song family had secured them, they could have gained power without any complications. He adds that it is a pity they will never have them. Our protagonist begins to walk away, declaring that this is the destiny Shijun deserves. However, Shijun moves with sudden unnatural speed to attack Xian from behind. Before he can reach him, Baixin intervenes. She drives a weapon with a pointed tip through the back of Shijun's head until it protrudes from his mouth. She tells our protagonist that she overheard their conversation and assumed that since Shijun was once his friend, he might not have wanted to deliver the killing blow himself. Bai thinks back to her sister Shinner and the betrayal she endured, then thanks our hero for recommending the pills earlier. Even though she is acting brave in this moment, she remains visibly afraid of the chaos unfolding around her. Bai begins cutting into Shijun's head, knowing that killing these creatures allows one to harvest energy crystals. She attempts to give the recovered crystal to Xiaoyan, but our protagonist refuses to take it, insisting that since she secured the kill, the prize is hers. After she absorbs the energy, she begins to feel her strength returning. Our hero advises her to absorb such energy only within her limits, warning that exceeding them will turn her into a monster just like Shijun. He explains that her specific ability is called disappearance and notes that if she uses it carefully, her risks of dying will remain low. Bai proposes a deal to the boy. She points out that he is hunting high-level monsters like the spider demon to increase his power and offers her assistance. Since he is working alone, she suggests she could gather information or even act as bait to make his hunts easier. Xiaoyan remains reluctant, but she assures him she can prove her worth. When our protagonist asks what she wants in exchange, she reveals her desire to become a stronger person capable of surviving on her own. To test her resolve and ability, our boy instructs her to go to Chunghwa Hospital and eliminate all the monsters hiding there. As she prepares to leave, he warns her that the creatures inside are similar to the spider monster she just witnessed. She walks away confidently, claiming she can manage the task. Xiaoyan secretly attaches a trace of penetrating fire to her, so he can monitor her whereabouts while he continues his own hunt for monsters to increase his power. The scene shifts to Song Tian's house where his subordinates report Shijun's death and describe the overwhelming strength Xiaoyan used to kill him. Song Tian becomes consumed by fury. One of his men informs him that they have successfully located our protagonist's sister. Upon hearing this, Song Tian orders them to seize her immediately to facilitate his revenge. He gathers his remaining forces to capture Xiaoyan and secure the stash of pills. They set out toward her hiding place, confident that because she is alone, she will be an easy target. Back at the administration office, Xiaoyun and Nan watch the news as a reporter describes the mounting chaos and offers survival tips. Suddenly, a zombie lunges at the reporter, and the television screen cuts to black. Shiryun and the Master Turtle turn away from the dead screen to stare at the ominous red moon glowing outside the window. Shiryun wonders if her brother is alright, but Nan assures her that our protagonist is quite powerful and unlikely to face any real trouble. The girl then asks the Master Turtle which ability she should learn. In response, an old turtle spirit manifesting 3 talismans appears before her. After a moment of contemplation, Xiaoyun reaches toward one specific talisman, the art of Qi Huang. Our hero's companion praises her for her compassion and kindness, noting that this particular ability will be of great help to her. Xiaoyun soon finds herself lost in a world of raw power and ancient abilities. Master Turtle instructs her to calm her mind and absorb the strengths gradually and slowly, warning her not to be greedy. Despite the visible nervousness on the girl's face, she begins to communicate with the spirit, addressing him as Uncle Torchigu. As the Master Turtle explains the specific properties of the Huang Talisman, she wonders how much the girl will be able to absorb during her very first attempt. While Xiaoyun is occupied with her training, the Master Turtle senses a group approaching the building. It is Song Tian and his clan members. The scene shifts to the antagonist as he issues orders to his men, placing his 3 primary skill users, Blade, Eagle Eye, and Wild Lightning, at the head of the group. He commands the rest of his subordinates to launch a direct frontal assault, and they move to comply. Song Tian believes that with 3 skill users and a heavy arsenal, capturing a weak girl will be a simple task. A group known as the Marine Sharks attempts to force their way inside, but as soon as they throw their weight against the entrance, the magic protecting the door repels them. The men are thrown back a great distance from the building. A A second team steps forward to mock the first group for their perceived weakness, but when they attempt to break in, the same magical force strikes them. The impact is so severe that several men suffer broken bones in their arms and legs. Their leader then orders them to target the windows instead. He commands that if they cannot break through, they must resort to bombs and other high-grade explosives. The men prepare to use a top-level bomb capable of breaching a bank vault just to enter the small zoo building. One soldier warns his commander that such a blast might cause the entire structure to collapse and kill the girl inside, but the leader dismisses the concern, stating it is simply her destiny. When the bomb detonates, it fails to leave even a single scratch on the building. The explosion makes the shimmering safety barrier visible to the naked eye, leaving the men wondering what kind of defense they are facing. The three ability users finally step forward, declaring they will handle the situation. Combining their unique powers in a synchronized strike, they finally succeed in shattering the magical barrier. Wild Lightning enters the building alone, while the other two skill users wait outside, wondering how the confrontation will unfold. It is revealed that the boy with lightning powers is the strongest among them, which is why he was sent in first to eliminate any obstacles protecting Xiaoyun. After a few moments, a blinding light radiates from the entire building. The soldiers, Song Tian, and the remaining ability users assume that Wild Lightning has succeeded in his mission. However, they soon sense that something is wrong, prompting Blade and Eagle Eye to head inside. The interior is pitch black, so Eagle Eye uses his thermal vision to scan the environment. He spots movement upstairs and prepares to loose an arrow, but a tiny turtle suddenly drops onto his nose. He brushes the creature aside, but when he looks back, the target has vanished. Nan Nan becomes furious, declaring that she is not a mere turtle but a god, and warns them never to compare her to ordinary beings. Utilizing her control over water, the Master Turtle creates a massive surge that kicks both skill users out of the building. She then emerges herself, dragging the defeated Wild Lightning with her. She tells the gathered crowd that she is naturally calm and has no desire to hurt anyone. One of the ability users interrupts her by ordering the soldiers to open fire. A hail of bullets strikes her, but she remains unharmed, stating that nothing hurts her more than the insult of being called a common sea turtle. Using her magic, she redirects the trajectory of the gunfire back toward the attackers. The soldiers begin to fall, struck by their own bullets. Seeing the devastation, Blade and Eagle Eye coordinate a joint assault. Their combined powers manage to trap Nan Nan within a specialized cage made of their elemental abilities. Believing they have neutralized the threat, the two skill users prepare to re-enter the building to finish off Xiaoyun. However, the Master Turtle begins to expand back toward her original gargantuan size. She is now completely enraged that they dared to attempt to take her life. Master Turtle remains in a blind rage, commanding the water to rise and swallow the fleeing attackers. Even the powerful skill users, Blade and Eagle Eye, find themselves caught in the torrential flood. They beg for their lives as they struggle to stay afloat, but Nan Nan is cold and unforgiving, declaring that those who attempt to harm a god deserve no mercy. However, while Nan Nan is occupied wiping out the army outside, she is left a blind spot. Song Tian, fueled by grief and hatred, manages to slip into the building unnoticed. He finds Xiaoyun standing by the window, her back turned to him as she watches the chaos outside. With tears streaming down his face, he screams that Shujuan was his only son and that Xiaoyan must pay for his death in blood. He levels his handgun at the girl's head. The sound of a gunshot echoes through the room, but Xiaoyan remains unharmed. A shimmering safety barrier placed there by Master Turtle has blocked the bullet. Outside, Nan Nan senses the danger but chooses not to intervene immediately. She realizes that in this new brutal world of the apocalypse, Xiaoyun cannot rely on a protector forever. She must learn to harness the art of Qi Huang and fight for herself. Sensing the turtle's withdrawal of direct protection, Song Tian seizes the opportunity. He pulls out a high-level heavy-duty firearm and begins unloading a barrage of specialized rounds at the girl. Under the relentless pressure of the high-caliber fire, the barrier begins to flicker and crack, turning brittle. Song Tian's face is contorted with madness as he shouts for her to die, his finger heavy on the trigger, as the last line of defense between them begins to shatter. Song Tian, consumed by madness, tosses his empty firearm aside and draws a jagged knife, hacking at the flickering barrier with primal desperation. He acts like a complete madman, driven by the singular obsession to kill Xiaoyun and finalize his revenge for the loss of his son. As the barrier reaches its breaking point, Song Tian prepares to eliminate her, declaring his plan to send a picture of her corpse to Xia Yan. He sneers at her, telling her not to worry because her brother will be joining her in death very soon. However, the threat against her brother triggers a transformation in Xia Yun. She stands up and a visible anger takes over her face. She realizes that she cannot die here as her death would cause Xiao Yun immense sadness. To prevent her brother's grief, she determines that she must be the one to kill Song Tian. The two begin to fight inside the building, while Master Turtle remains outside looking up at the sky and allowing the confrontation to unfold. During the struggle, Xiao Yun informs Song Tian that the art of Qi is not limited to saving lives. It is also capable of taking them. She warns him that she will never forget those who think of hurting her brother. Unleashing her newfound abilities, she strikes at the antagonist. Within a few seconds, Song Tian realizes he has reached his end. He yells out in a final act of defiance, claiming he cannot die before avenging Shu Jun. As his life fades, he screams a final curse at Shu Jun and her brother, telling them to wait for their own deaths which are drawing near. With those final words, Song Tian falls dead. Song Tian's soul now stands before a formidable demigod who demands his total surrender. The deity offers him a tempting bargain, stating that if he submits, he might consider sending him back into the living world. Consumed by his desire for vengeance, Song Tian agrees and gives himself over completely to the god's power. Consequently, the demigod manifests in the real world, visibly relishing the intense resentment and hatred radiating from Song Tian's spirit. Scanning the immediate area, the deity spots Master Turtle and Xiao Yun deciding that they will serve as his next feast. The scene shifts back to our protagonist, Xiao Yun, who is relentlessly slaughtering monsters to further increase his cultivation. During his hunt, he makes a grim discovery. These demons continue to take lives and poison the environment even after they have been slain. He observes that they are systematically destroying the world, noting that if this destruction continues unabated, not a single piece of fertile soil will remain on Earth. To prevent further contamination, Cheyenne incinerates the corpse of the monster he just killed. He then begins walking away, intent on finishing off the remaining threats in the vicinity. With his newly acquired penetrate fire vision, he can now easily sense and track the exact locations of the monsters, allowing him to hunt with lethal efficiency. Cheyenne arrives at his next destination where he finds a massive crowd of humans gathered at the base of a gigantic tree. He quickly identifies the tree as a demonic creature, though he remains cautious as he observes the scene. Interestingly, the zombies in the area refuse to approach the tree's base, which has led the survivors to believe the spot is a safe haven. However, Xiaoyan senses something is wrong. As he examines the people who have been standing there for a while, he notices their expressions are vacant and strange, suggesting they are under some form of influence. As Jia Yen ponders the situation, a man steps forward to address the crowd. Xia Yen immediately recognizes him as Supervisor Chun, his former superior from his old company. Chun begins a speech about the horrors of the zombies and the monsters currently destroying the world. He assures the crowd that they are perfectly safe beneath the branches of the tree, but he adds a grim condition. Remaining there requires a sacrifice. When the desperate people ask what is required of them, Chun introduces the tree, which features a grotesque face-shaped trunk. He claims the tree is actually a benevolent demigod that wants to protect civilians, but explains that this deity requires offerings and tributes to maintain its protection. While the people initially feel a sense of relief at being saved, Xiaoyan speaks up and demands to know exactly what kind of tribute this god demands. Chun recognizes Shuryen and smiles, thinking his former employee has arrived at the perfect moment to serve his purposes. He reveals the horrifying truth. To keep the god satisfied, the group must provide a human sacrifice every 2 hours. The crowd is instantly shocked and horrified, questioning how a true god could feed on human beings. Chun quickly manipulates their fear, arguing that the god only requires one person to save the rest, whereas the zombies outside would devour every single one of them without hesitation. Chun urges the survivors to listen carefully, insisting that the human face tree is a merciful entity. He claims that the creature does not merely consume human life but offers a miraculous reward in return. He paints a bleak picture of the future, warning the crowd that within a few days, all food and water will vanish, and they will perish from hunger. However, he promises that in exchange for a sacrifice, the tree will produce 3 ginseng fruits, each capable of sustaining a person for an entire week. Chun further manipulates the desperate crowd by claiming that these fruits grant supernatural abilities, citing his own supposed power to communicate with the demigod as proof. Desperate for survival, the people begin begging for the fruit, but Chun reminds them that the price must be paid first, announcing that the sacrifice must come from the newcomers. As the group breaks into a heated argument over who should die, Chun suggests they should identify and sacrifice the sinner first, promising to choose carefully. As the crowd debates, Xiaoyan interjects with a sharp question, asking how Chun plans to distribute only 3 fruits among such a large number of people. The crowd, suddenly realizing the math doesn't add up, joins in the questioning. A flustered Chun stammers that the fruits will go to those who contribute the most. Xiaoyan bursts into laughter, mockingly asking if Chun is going to create a KPI chart to track their performance just as he did in the corporate world. Furious at being ridiculed, Chun shouts that he is the sacred representative of the tree and demands respect. Several brainwashed young men under the tree's influence step forward to threaten Jiayan, but our protagonist remains unfazed. He openly exposes Chen's past, recounting how he used to exploit his employees at their old company. He points out that Chun hasn't changed. He is simply using a god as a new way to kill people and maintain power. Xian finishes by coldly asking Chun if he has even a shred of shame left in his body. Supervisor Chun loses all composure and shrieks at the crowd to kill Xia Yan, accusing him of blasphemy against the sacred tree. Driven by desperation and the promise of the ginseng fruit, the survivors begin protesting against our protagonist, ready to tear him apart. Xiayan shouts for them to open their eyes, revealing the horrifying truth. The fruit is not a gift, but a demonic growth forged from the blood, flesh, and souls of the sacrificed. He warns them that anyone who consumes it will become a living puppet of the god, a half-dead monster no different from a zombie. While the crowd hesitates, Xiayan points directly at Chen's hand. As the people look, Chun is forced to reveal his limb, which has mutated into a grotesque cluster of wooden branches and bark. Unashamed, Chun tells them that in this apocalypse, survival is the only thing that matters. He mocks their fear, telling them that if they leave the tree's shadow, the zombies will devour them. He urges them once more to kill Xiayan so they can embrace the transformation and become powerful monsters like himself. The brainwashed crowd lunges towards Ziyuan, but our protagonist remains calm, declaring that today marks the end of Supervisor Chen's life. He unleashes his fire abilities to incinerate his former boss, but Chun is suddenly pulled into the trunk of the demonic tree, submerged within its bark. A heavy silence follows until a distorted voice calls out Xiaoyan's name. Supervisor Chun emerges from the human face tree, now fully integrated into its form as a complete demon. He boasts that he and the sacred tree now coexist as one entity, claiming he has achieved immortality, while Xiaoyan is destined to die. Undeterred, Xiaoyan simply clicks his fingers, intensifying the flames to engulf the demonic version of Chun once more. Supervisor Chun burns in the fire once more while Xiaoyan speaks with the human face tree. Our protagonist notes that this creature is significantly stronger than the other monsters. As the beast begins slaughtering the humans, the survivors scream at Xiaoyan, blaming him for provoking it. They argue that without his interference, they could have sacrificed a single person and allowed the rest to transform by eating the fruit. The monster thrusts its branches into the humans one by one. Our hero ignites the wood, severing the limbs while urging the survivors to run for their lives. Those still ensnared by the creature beg for salvation, cursing that if they cannot be saved, Xiaoyan should die alongside them. When a horde of zombies swarms the civilians, our boy eliminates every undead threat within minutes. He commands the crowd to flee while he turns back to face the primary threat. The survivors wonder why he didn't do more to protect them even as he secures their escape. Left behind, the tree monster grows furious, centering its lethal intent entirely on Xian. Xian issues a direct challenge, vowing to destroy the monster tree first. In response, the creature ensnares him, dragging our protagonist deep into a sphere of constricting vines. Surveying the interior, Xian realizes this opponent is unexpectedly resilient. He concludes that a new strategy is required to dismantle the beast. The monster tree watches nervously as our boy calmly drinks water. Our hero muses that he can wear the creature down, muttering sooner or later before falling silent. Intrigued and unsettled, the tree demands to know what he means. Inside the hollow of the monster, Xian settles into a lavish feast alongside Sadaji and Black Bear. Sadaji warns him that even as a second-rank demon, this entity remains troublesome and must be dealt with immediately. Both companions eye the food hungrily, prompting Cheyenne to decree that whoever provides the solution to defeating the tree earns the right to eat. Sudaji suggests that a tree falls easily to a thunderbolt. If Lei Genji cooperates, the monster will be simple to destroy. Suddenly, Master Turtle manifests to deliver an urgent warning. Xiaoyun is in grave danger. A demigod, Yamada Narochi, has been summoned to Earth, and Master Turtle fears she cannot handle the threat alone. The scene shifts abruptly. Cheyenne stands behind Lei Genji. Before the captive can refuse to help, our protagonist flings open the cage, declaring that there is no time left for negotiations. As the warden of the prison, Yen orders Genji to come out and opens his cage. The monster cannot refuse this command. If he did, the warden would have the right to execute him. As the blood moon descends, a demonic aura fills the air, exciting the tree-faced monster. Suddenly, a thunderbolt strikes the tree cocoon, leaving it terrified, and the human-faced tree recoils in fear at the sight of Genji. Our boy then orders the destruction of the evil creature, prompting Genji to gather all the thunder energy and launch an attack on the tree. Caught off guard, the monster is stunned by the sudden strike, but Genji quickly follows up with another powerful blow, burning it badly. Meanwhile, a black-haired lady and her group stand near several corpses. She regrets losing the wooden spirit of the tree, which could have been useful to her. Her men report movement at Chunghwa Hospital. They head in that direction, causing the woman to wonder who managed to slay the tree beast before she could. At the same time, heavy rain drenches the Jade Zoo. The lion cage has been badly damaged, and inside, a lion with strange red eyes clutches the wolf's corpse after killing the entire pack. Orochi's menacing glare, however, tears the lion apart. A strong demonic aura engulfs the zoo, wiping out all the creatures within. Orochi unveils his true form as the snakes, corrupted by the aura, turn demonic and launch themselves at Nan. The turtle quickly shields herself, and when one snake lunges forward, it's repelled and killed by the defense. The remaining serpents attack Nan the turtle relentlessly, wearing her down. Eventually, the turtle's shield shatters, leaving her wounded and exhausted. Orochi mocks Nan's futile resistance, remarking that he's now an easy target. Despite her injuries, the turtle remains calm, knowing she cannot afford incompetence. If she falters, our protagonist will see to her punishment. Orochi advances, scoffing at the supposed downfall of the underworld, reminding everyone that gods and great monsters were already wiped out by the 5 paths of gods. He dismisses Yan's strength, questioning how formidable our hero could possibly be. Nan taunts him in return, pointing out that Yamada was nothing more than Suzanu's servant. Suddenly, a fierce demonic aura crashes through Nan's defenses, shattering what remains of her shield. The blow leaves her badly injured and coughing up blood while the entire area trembles, striking terror into Yoon. Nan realizes that the attack could only have come from Susanoo himself. With a smirk, she asks if he's truly so important that Susanoo would come personally to fight him. Summoning her strength, Nan conjures a powerful water ring, warning them not to underestimate Yen. She chants forceful words, triggering an explosion of golden light that devastates the area. Yoon, meanwhile, is left hiding in a corner, trembling and crying amidst the chaos. Yoon panics as the giant snake's sharp teeth move toward her. Orochi, now wounded and revealing his true snake form, radiates killing intent that Nan, despite being badly hurt, consents. Suddenly, Orochi appears with 7 heads, striking terror in everyone present. In this critical moment, Genji and Yen arrive, much to the turtle's relief. A lightning bolt crashes down, obliterating the 7-headed snakes. When Orochi sees the charred remains of his serpentine forms, he is horrified and unable to grasp what just happened. Looking up, he spots Genji, who introduces himself as the reincarnation of Thunderstar and a disciple of the 3rd generation of Yushu. Determined to burn away evil, Genji unleashes a powerful thunderbolt at Orochi, calling him trash. Sensing danger below, our protagonist quickly instructs Nan to retreat and recover in the tower after such exhausting combat. Inside the great mortal prison, Daji tends to Nan's wounds. The turtle warns her not to underestimate Orochi, explaining that he has 8 heads and 8 lives. Meanwhile, outside, our hero and Genji stand alert as a swirling purple demonic aura targets them. 2 snake heads launch a stealthy attack from behind, but Genji reacts instantly, dodging and countering with a burst of lightning. 1 snake releases toxic gas, wounding the thunder beast and overwhelming him. Anxiously, Genji turns to Yen, asking what their next move should be. Orochi spots Yen and mocks him, calling our protagonist a shallow mortal unworthy of the title Prison Lord, drawing comparisons to Susanoo. Yen challenges the serpent, but Orochi dismisses him, claiming he's not worthy of a true duel. Unfazed, our hero offers a deal. If he loses, Orochi must acknowledge him as master. The serpent laughs sarcastically, taunting that a mere human from Yangtze dares to try subduing Yamada no Orochi, the legendary beast of Japan. Yan's words enrage one of the snake heads, which now promises to inflict the most terrifying pain. Taking these threats as acceptance, Yen considers the duel underway. One of his eyes flashes as the snake heads lunge, mouths open wide, encircling Genji. Yen quickly recognizes the tactic. Orochi is using some heads as a decoy while the main one gathers strength for a lethal strike. Our boy calmly points out the main head's hiding place, exposing the strategy. Orochi flinches, hastily denying any such plan. The psychological pressure from Yen rattles him, though he tries to convince himself it's just a coincidence. He then roars, ordering the other snakes to escort him. A snake moves forward but is instantly crushed by a powerful blow from a black bear's paw. Meanwhile, rain pours down across the city. Chaos reigns as zombies fill the streets and civilians flee in terror. A mother desperately comforts her daughter whose hand has turned purple as the girl cries for help. Kneeling, the woman prays for a miracle. Back at the battle, the old bear unleashes a flurry of attacks, each showcasing a different technique and relentlessly shattering snake heads. Orochi grows increasingly bewildered, unable to understand why so many powerful beings stand with Yen. Driven by curiosity, the Snake Lord asks about our hero's true identity, but Yen simply responds with a smirk. Realizing the situation is urgent, Orochi decides it's more important to report to his superiors about Yen than to continue the fight. He unleashes a sudden attack, prompting Yen and his team to retaliate. As Orochi manipulates a dust storm, worn from his injuries, he catches sight of Yoon and sets his sights on her. At the last moment, our protagonist intervenes, blocking the serpent from reaching her. Orochi soon realizes that Yen is watching his every move. Our protagonist notices that one of Orochi's heads has slipped away and fled in secret. If the snake monster were truly escaping, Jan wouldn't bother chasing. After all, claiming 6 heads is already a worthwhile prize. But instead, Orochi comes after his sister, pushing our hero's patience to its limit. Jan's eyes blaze with anger and a flame aura erupts around him as he draws his flame sword, fully prepared to end Orochi. The Snake Lord dismisses the threat, convinced that our boy, a mere human, could never defeat him. He taunts further, threatening to torture Yoon. Enraged, our protagonist summons a fire dragon that lunges at Orochi. The Snake Lord counters and manages to bite Yan's arm, only to find to his shock that it transforms into pure flame. Without hesitation, Yen slashes off one of Orochi's heads. The serpent still struggles to comprehend the true strength of our hero. Meanwhile, Genji and the black bear are battling fiercely, tearing through the remaining snake heads. Witnessing this, Orochi realizes the situation is quickly deteriorating. Only 4 of his lives remain. Desperate to turn the tide, he decides the only option is to attack Yan's soul. Orochi slips into our protagonist's consciousness, intent on probing his memories. He wants to uncover how Yen managed to command so many demons and plans to make our boy his personal puppet. Orochi notices a mysterious tower and bewildered approaches it. The moment he touches its surface, a surge of thunder energy assaults him, making him scream in agony. Spotting a small hole at the tower's base, the Snake Lord slips inside, barely managing to survive. Now within the tower, he finds himself surrounded by darkness, countless red eyes staring at him from the shadows. The aura pressing in on Orochi is so overwhelming. Even Susanoo never made him feel such fear. He wonders if gods are sealed inside, but quickly brushes aside the thought. Terror consumes him, and he screams as mental pain tears at his mind. Outside, our protagonist observes the spectacle while the black bear and Genji handle the remaining snake heads. Those heads, sensing danger, retreat back into Orochi's body as he writhes and screams like a madman. Witnessing this, Yen can't help but sigh. He never expected the Snake Lord to invade his consciousness. Everyone watching feels a mix of pity and disbelief, silently agreeing that Orochi has acted foolishly. Daji trembles, realizing that the Snake Master has descended straight to the tower's 4th level. She can barely imagine what horrors he must have witnessed to drive him to madness. Just as our hero prepares to finish Orochi, he notices a strange aura spreading across the land. The moon has vanished, replaced by a monstrous eye that radiates demonic energy. Nan immediately understands. Susanoo has arrived. Orochi screams, desperately claiming to have secrets that could save his life, but Genji blocks his escape attempt. Before Genji can advance, however, a terrifying force pins him down. Refusing to let the enemy slip away, the black bear readies himself and Daji agrees. At that moment, Yen surrounds Orochi with flames and beheads him on the spot. After the kill, our protagonist rips out the snake soul, tossing it into the demon-suppressing tower like garbage, then casually dusts off his hands. The display leaves his three allies genuinely impressed. Their relief is short-lived as an invisible pressure suddenly descends upon them. From a rift, Susanoo glares at Yen, furious at having been deceived. In an instant, the demon-suppressing tower is bombarded with deadly lightning strikes. Susanoo plummets to earth at light speed, heading straight for our hero. Simultaneously, a tremendous force assaults the tower, unleashing a flood of evil souls. Yen feels his strength draining as his spiritual energy is completely sapped. In his past life, the most our boy ever saw descend were a few demigods of general rank. And even then, Orochi was meant to appear only at midnight. But this time, due to Songtian's summons, the descent came early, triggering Susanoo's arrival as well. The entire dimensional barrier is now shattered, and a god has emerged too soon for the world to endure. Nan struggles for breath, explaining that fate should have given humanity time to awaken their powers, but now everything has been accelerated. This, she says, may spell Yangxia's destruction. Yen freezes, staring skyward in shock. Susanoo unleashes a devastating sonic attack on our protagonist, the force of it crushing buildings nearby. Inside the room, Yoon is slammed against the wall, crying out in pain and coughing blood. She quickly seals critical points on her ears, throat, and heart, panicking as she realizes her brother took the full brunt of the sonic wave. Yoon sees her brother lying motionless amid the thick smoke and screams his name in despair. At the edge of the city, everyone is affected by the relentless sonic waves. Civilians' ears bleed as they cry out in pain. Meanwhile, the demon laughs at their suffering. The moon has vanished, and the world itself seems to be cracking under the crushing sound waves, tearing everything apart. In a nearby apartment, a girl trembles by her window, watching in horror as zombies rip through the streets. Tears stream down her face as she regrets not eating her favorite dish the night before. A single flower petal stained with blood lands on her hand. At that very moment, a glowing token appears, radiating a dangerous energy. The demon proclaims that whoever possesses the token will become king. He sneers at Yen, hurling direct insults. Under the immense pressure, our boy slowly raises a trembling arm and defiantly gives Susanoo the middle finger. Without hesitation, he hurls the token skyward. The token bursts into flame with red symbols, and suddenly, a golden light splits the sky. A figure in white robes emerges midair, radiating a powerful aura. Susanoo, terrified at the sight, tries to retreat, but it's already too late. In the newcomer's hands appears the legendary golden bow, the sunset arc. The mysterious man is none other than Ho-E, famed for bringing down 9 suns and slaying monsters who tormented humanity. Susanoo screams in terror as Ho-E forms an arrow from his own aura and launches it at the demon lord. The powerful barrage blinds Susanoo, costing him his eyes. Yet the demon lord laughs off the pain, gloating that he survived such divine attacks. He mocks Hu-E, insisting that no divine lord can break the world barrier to kill him. However, Susanoo's bravado falters when he sees Ho-E standing between 2 realms, wielding the Hao-Yin sword. Realization dawns. Ho-E is the human emperor of Yenxia. With a mighty swing, the emperor delivers a devastating slash, cutting Susanoo. Sunlight bursts over the city, and blue blood begins to rain down. Amid the chaos, a mother awakens from unconsciousness, horrified to see her daughter outside, drinking the blue rain while zombies roam nearby. Suddenly, a giant tentacle sprouts from the little girl's back, signaling a new nightmare has begun. An ability user named Hao-Gu suddenly feels his strength surge and his wounds heal. Energized, he boldly challenges the zombies, astonishing everyone with his newfound power. Meanwhile, civilians look up in awe as they notice the sky has split open. Hao hadn't anticipated that his sword would create such a massive rift. He then warns the gods of the 5 paths not to damage the world barrier, one he crafted with great effort, threatening dire consequences if they do. At the same time, he welcomes anyone who refrains from harming the barrier. To mend the damage, Hoi uses the celestial repair stone, restoring the sky and allowing sunlight to once again shine over the city. Afterward, he heads to the demon prison tower. Inside, Yen reports that he beheaded Susanoo as instructed, then raises a concern. What if the evil gods rip apart Hoi's projection and destroy Yenxia? Hearing this, Hui laughs, finding our protagonist fascinating for his composure and leadership even in moments of despair. He's curious how our boy was so sure he would intervene. Ian explains that he believed there were truly powerful beings imprisoned, so he gambled that someone capable of suppressing all others would emerge. Howie chuckles, assuring him there's no way he would allow such a prisoner to fall into the wrong hands. Then Hoi grants our hero fragments of his memory, informing him that the fate of the world now rests with Yen as Susanoo's soul has been completely extinguished. Yen shakes hands with Hoi, vowing with determination that he will never let Yenxia fall. After Hoi's soul departs from the earth, Yen collapses, unconscious. Yoon rushes to her brother's side, panic in her eyes. Meanwhile, chaos erupts across the outer world. Demons, enraged by Susanoo's true death, and their ongoing inability to break the world barrier, vow that Yen won't last much longer. With the barrier weakening, they decide to feast on humans to bolster their power. At the same time, a mysterious aura emerges from the wonders of the world. News reports broadcast that a massive number of humans have transformed into monsters with 10 million casualties in the Los Angeles area alone. Beasts now roam North Africa, and faith is described as humanity's final hope. In the Saudi region, flames have engulfed the land, turning it into a sea of fire. The world is in ruins. International communication has collapsed, and the Xia kingdom stands isolated. In Emerald City, a reign of divine energy has granted many humans new abilities, sparking the rise of ability users who quickly form gangs. The Jackal Gang, led by Chungo and notorious for their brutality, sweeps through the city, hunting down unaffiliated ability users. Gu gives the brutal order to eliminate anyone who refuses to join. When a girl tries to fight back, she is stabbed by his wolf-like hand, falling victim to the gang's violence. Hauger reports to Gao that the East District has been cleared. He suggests they should deal with Wan Ho's team in the West District next. Gao, however, dismisses Wan as nothing more than a muscle-bound fool and proposes they simply sit back and enjoy the spoils. Other ability users eager to please Gao because he possesses Shangqing pills flatter him and inquire when the next batch will be distributed. They note that with these pills, they can absorb crystal cores without the risk of infection. Gao reassures them, promising to make them the highest-ranking ability users, and the group cheers in approval. Later, Haogu rushes to his boss, breathlessly explaining that they've discovered a small stronghold in the suburbs. The problem is that no one who enters ever comes out. The group heads to the location and finds a house that seems almost alive, as if it's devouring people. Gao, unfazed, assumes it's just another ability user's doing, and arrogantly announces that whoever is inside should come out and join his gang. He promises there won't be any punishment. Inside the house, Yoon and Shuren are present with Yen lying unconscious on a stretcher amid a horde of monsters. Yen anxiously wishes for her brother to wake up. Shuren urges her to stay by Yan's side, explaining that she's heading downstairs to fight. Our protagonist once saved Shuren's life and planted an insignia in her body, allowing her to sense his critical condition. Yoon reassures Cheyenne, vowing to protect her brother no matter what. After the rain, Cheyenne's abilities advance to the second tier, enabling her to finally defeat a monster. Thanks to the insignia, she's able to find both Yoon and our hero's location. In this apocalyptic world where trust is rare, Cheyenne knows she can only rely on Yen and Yoon and commits herself to their protection. Outside, Gao orders his men to surround the house. When one of them ventures inside, Cheyenne immediately launches an attack, defending those she trusts most. Cheyenne uses her ability to turn invisible, slipping past the Jackal Gang members as they enter the house, confused by the apparent emptiness. One man mocks her, calling her a coward. But before he can finish, she reappears and swiftly slashes his neck. The group is stunned to realize their attacker is a woman who moves like a ghost, vanishing and reappearing at will. A bald man inhales deeply from a cigarette, releasing a paralyzing smoke meant to incapacitate Cheyenne. Realizing the danger, she darts outside to escape the fumes, and quickly decides that eliminating Gao is her top priority. Attempting a surprise attack from behind, she is taken aback when her strike is effortlessly deflected by Gao's protective treasure. He retaliates, stabbing her in the shoulder, and is about to finish her off when his men intervene, suggesting they interrogate her first. The bald man points out that another woman is still upstairs. Meanwhile, Yoon watches the scene unfold from above, tears streaming down her face as she calls for her teacher. Gao's gang advances toward her, and Yoon, trembling but determined, channels aura into her finger, preparing to defend herself. Suddenly, another gang member breaks through a window and enters the room where Yoon is hiding. He brandishes a trident, his eyes falling on Yan's motionless figure. Shang Yoon steps protectively in front of her brother, refusing to let anyone near him. The intruder just laughs, assuring her that their target is her, not Yan. Meanwhile, Shireen attempts to use her own invisibility, but Gao stabs her in the shoulder once again, proving his relentless pursuit. Gao announces that he intends to keep Shireen in a constant state of pain, preventing her from gathering her mental energy. With a cruel laugh, he tells Shireen to watch helplessly as her friend is harassed, adding that he also plans to cut off the limbs of the boy they are protecting. He offers her a place in his gang as his puppet and begins to count down from 10. When he reaches 5, a dark aura begins to fill the room where Yen lies. This ominous energy emanates from the token. The scene shifts to the demon-suppressing tower where Yan's body glows as he hovers in midair. Daji gazes out over Yenxia, recognizing that only our protagonist can explain why they are all imprisoned. Many gods and demigods ended up in the tower for their sins, but some were confined for far more minor reasons. Daji realizes that the tower is actually a secret weapon left behind by the ancient lords, a last resort. Now the structure releases a red aura, channeling energy directly into Yen. Blackbear, Nan, and Genji exchange worried glances, wondering if the tower might be destroyed by the surge. Daji, observing that our hero is still not awake, pleads for understanding, explaining that they are bound to the prison even as chaos unfolds outside. Then a massive beam of golden light erupts as Yen finally awakens. Back in the house, just as the gang members are about to lay hands on Yoon, a thunderous explosion blasts them into the air. Gao stands stunned, witnessing the sudden turn of events. Cheyenne smiles as the explosion rocks the house. Gao spots Yen standing on the roof and threatens that if our protagonist comes any closer, he'll kill Cheyenne. Unfazed, Yen conjures a flame aura in his hand and hurls it at Gao. The fire strips away his protective treasure, leaving Gao engulfed in flames and screaming in agony. The Jackal gang members are stunned to see their leader brought down so easily. One of them, hoping to claim endless Chongqing pills as a reward, decides to attack Yen, and the rest follow suit, surrounding our boy. Finding them a nuisance, Yen casually creates a fire circle with a sweep of his hand. Terrified, the gang members try to flee, but the flames consume them all. After the first human emperor, Yenxia borrowed Yan's body to defeat Susanoo, allowing him to absorb the demon soul and fragments of Yenxia's memories. Though his power isn't fully refined yet, Yen has already broken through Tier 4 and now stands at Tier 5. For small-time ability users, a single move from our protagonist is more than enough. His soul has reached Tier 6, and his mastery of fire has grown even stronger. Gao, however, is not dead, protected by his family's Yuan treasure. As he reaches for the bell to shield himself, Cheyenne swiftly severs his hands and picks up the treasure. Yoon hurries to her side, helping to heal her wounds. She tells Yen that he's been unconscious for 7 days since the battle with Susanoo and that many new ability users have appeared during his absence. Shin observes that Gao couldn't have supplied all those Chongqing pills alone. There must be a powerful organization backing him. Gao threatens them, warning that the family head will hunt them down if they don't let him go. When asked about the head's identity, Gao remains silent until Daji arrives and after tending to his wounds, persuades him to reveal everything. Gao confesses that the true power behind Chengdu is the Yuan family, an influential and well-established clan based in neighboring Black Obsidian City. Recently, they began hoarding all available pills. Our hero realizes that, like the Song family, the Yuan family must have foreseen the apocalypse and moved quickly to consolidate power among ability users in Black Obsidian City. Daji adds that the Yuan family has also discovered an ability called Orvain, and that deep within it, an ancient god has appeared. Yen recognizes that Orvain could greatly increase one's abilities, and decides it's time to pay a visit to Black Obsidian City. Outside the walls of Black Obsidian City, desperate people bang on the gates, begging for entry. A city guard responds by shooting a civilian, demanding silence. He coldly explains that to gain access to the Yuan family shelter, they must hand over Chongqing pills or zombie crystal cores. The civilians plead that they possess none of these rare items. They're just ordinary people. The soldier mocks them, calling them useless and a drain on resources, questioning why the Yuan family should bother to protect them at all. Panic sets in as zombies approach the crowd. Despite frantic pleas for help, the guard continues to taunt the terrified civilians. As the zombies begin devouring people, their power grows, which perversely excites the guard. His companion wonders aloud if they could even handle a tier 4 zombie, but the guard, Chong, assures him not to worry. This is Yuan family territory, filled with experts and even the old ancestor. He's confident they could earn merit by taking down such a threat. The companion nods in agreement as chaos and bloodshed erupt around them. Suddenly, Yen arrives on the scene, riding his bike and launching an attack on the zombies. Chong and his companion are stunned by the sight, but a powerful zombie smashes Yan's bike. Unfazed, our protagonist draws his flame sword and slices through the massive zombie. The other zombies drawn by the commotion charge at our boy. Yen, undeterred, channels his aura to create multiple swords, cutting down the horde with ease. The civilians now safe watch in awe, wondering who this mysterious savior is. Yen then retrieves a tier 4 crystal from the fallen zombie, his actions leaving a lasting impression on everyone present. Chong and his companion approach Yen, initially praising his combat skills. As the soldier reaches for the tier 4 crystal, our protagonist warns him to keep his hands off. This angers Chong, and his companion points out that Yen isn't from the Yuan family. Chong begins shouting, furious that their zombie was killed. Yen quickly pieces together that these soldiers had been intentionally raising the zombie's level by letting it prey on humans. Chong threatens Yen, demanding he hand over the crystal and leave, warning that the Yuan family will kill him if he refuses. He brags about the family's power, claiming all ability users are under their command and that the family's successor, Rue Yuan, has reached tier 4. The soldier continues to boast about his connections. In response, Yen grabs Chang by the neck and lifts him into the air. Activating his flame aura, our hero creates a fire circle that engulfs Chang, burning him as he screams for help. The others are left speechless, realizing their attacks are useless as the flames even melt bullets. Who do you think this crystal belongs to? Yen demands. Chang, terrified, admits he was wrong. Suddenly, a woman appears in midair, declaring that whether it's Chongqing pills or crystals, wealth always belongs to the strong. The soldiers, recognizing the third, desperately beg her for help, but she simply slaps one of them, calling them worthless for failing to handle a single outsider. Approaching, she admires Yan's power and his appearance. Chong continues to plead, but the third miss attacks him instead. Annoyed, he's interrupting her encounter with Yen. The other soldiers watch in stunned silence as Chang is abandoned. When Yen asks who she is, the woman introduces herself as Ying, third-ranked among the Yuan family's younger generation. She grabs his hand, trying to pull him inside, but our boy activates his flame circle, prompting her to step back. Amused, Ying then leads him toward the city, while the stunned soldiers realize Chong died for nothing. Inside Obsidian City, Yen is taken aback by the sheer number of guards on high alert. Wang explains that in the midst of the apocalypse, threats come not only from monsters, but also from the treacherous hearts of people. Pays to be prepared. They arrive at a house where she offers him tea. Yen, ever cautious, asks if her family had advanced knowledge of the apocalypse. Ying brushes it off, claiming it's simply the result of the Yen family's vast resources. Curious, she inquires about Yan's identity, and our protagonist introduces himself. He pointedly asks if the Yuan family is trying to recruit him. Ying admits that she's drawn to his strength, and beyond that, her family can provide ample cultivation resources, everything he could desire. She displays a handful of Chongqing pills, then explains that the Yuan family also distributes zombie crystal cores according to ability tier. Ying offers him a tempting deal. If he joins, Yen can become a captain with an elite team of 5 ability users. As she continues listing the abundant water and food supplies, the offer becomes more alluring. Ying sweetens the deal, adding that as long as he accumulates points, he'll receive even more resources. However, she warns with a sly smile that if our boy refuses, she'll turn him into a specimen for her closet. As Ying moves closer, Yen suddenly realizes he can't move. The third miss reveals that the tea he was offered contains a poison tailored to target ability users. Just then, a soldier interrupts, drawing her irritation. She orders the guard to watch Yen closely, instructing that if he tries anything, he should be killed on the spot. In the demon-suppressing tower, Daji and Black Bear tease Jan, joking that the third miss has gone easy on him. When Jan stands up, Bear is shocked to see our boy unaffected by the poison. Daji scolds Bear, pointing out that there's no way Jan would actually drink the tea considering how dangerous the Yuan family is. Bear, unconcerned, drinks the tea himself, saying he simply enjoyed the taste. Yen then heads deeper into the demon-suppressing tower and meets Nan to catch up on the current situation. The turtle reassures him that Yoon is safe and mentions that she and Sheen are planning a surprise for him, making our protagonist smile. Nan expresses gratitude to Yen for bestowing the snake soul upon him, explaining that she's working hard to refine it with his own life-bound soul. This fusion could allow tortoise and snake to merge into Xuanwu, giving Nan the chance to ascend to martial rank. Since Yan's awakening, a staircase has appeared, signifying that the tower's second floor is now accessible. The general-level prisoners were already formidable. He can't help but wonder what kind of beasts await on the next level. With that, our hero heads toward the second floor. Jan steps onto the second floor of the tower. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears, laughing in a chilling, eerie tone. Inside one of the cells sits a small chubby child who declares that it's an honor for Jan to meet him. With arrogance, the child demands that Jan bow before him and heed his 3 commands. Our boy is taken aback. He can't believe such a little guy is imprisoned on this level. After a moment's thought, Jan guesses that the boy is actually a ginseng doll. The guess infuriates the child, who unleashes a powerful aura and introduces himself as the great holy child king of Fire Cloud from Pine Grotto. Yen quickly recognizes him as the notorious spoiled brat, which only angers the holy child further. In response, the child transforms into a massive fire demon surrounded by a swarm of miniature fire Buddhas. This fire beast rants about destroying all life, but just as he does, a bolt of thunder strikes him. Laughing off the attack, he proclaims himself the Yaksha king who can never die, only to be struck by thunder once again. As our protagonist expected, the very first inmate he meets on the second floor is already threatening to destroy the world. Fortunately, Yan's soul force is at stage 6, giving him the confidence to handle such threats and push even further if needed. He continues to another cell where various black souls cackle at his presence. Ian immediately tells the figure inside to retreat, sensing it's Daji. She greets him warmly. Our hero then instructs her to take him to someone calm and willing to talk on this floor. If not, she should let the thunder strike the unruly prisoner until he settles down. Daji heads back to the Holy Child's cell, warning him not to underestimate the warden or risk consequences he can't bear. The tower glows with thunder, signaling that Daji is making sure the Holy Child learns his lesson. Meanwhile, in the Yuan family meeting hall, the elders gather to debate urgent matters. The patriarch recalls the wisdom and preparations of their ancestors before the apocalypse, which allowed them to amass vast stores of resources. Still, their oath to the ancestor remains unfinished. Ace Hong reviews the 3 conditions the ancestor set. First, the sacrifice of 100 pairs of virgin boys and girls. Next, the offering of 10 Tier 3 ability users and 3 Tier 4 ability users to complete the ritual. The final step is to unearth the vein leading to the golden coffin. Today, nearly all requirements are met except for the elusive level 4 ability users who are extremely rare. An elderly woman agrees, noting that while the mine they're excavating is brimming with energy, it is also laced with toxins and risks zombification. Another elder points out that despite their treasures, they lack true strength. The golden coffin lies deep within a deadly demon-infested zone, making progress perilous. The elders plead for more time to prepare. Frustrated, the patriarch slams his staff, declaring that a level 4 sacrifice is needed to appease the ancestor. The old woman hesitates, fearing the loss of key clan members and questioning whether they would sacrifice one of their own. At that moment, Ing enters and asks what reward she'll receive if she solves this problem for them. The patriarch eyes her confused. With a smirk, Ing reveals that she's captured a level 4 fire ability user, originally intended for romance, now destined for sacrifice. The patriarch, concerned about the altar near the vein and the risk if a powerful ability user goes wild, is reassured when Ing explains the captive is poisoned and completely under control. Pleased, the patriarch promises her great merit if the sacrifice succeeds and instructs Ashing and Ing to proceed with utmost caution. The other elders relax, plotting to lure and sacrifice more ability users. The patriarch confidently declares that the Yuan family will soon rise above all others. Elsewhere, a screen appears before Yen displaying the mine. He senses an intense energy and suspects it must be the ancestors' presence. Suddenly, Black Bear appears, asking if he can eat those planning to sacrifice Yen. Daji joins them, suggesting they investigate the Yuan family's alliances and the Golden Coffin's location. She draws near to Yen, proposing that he feign ignorance and strike at the perfect moment. Our protagonist smiles, agreeing with her plan. A sudden noise puts Daji and Bear on alert and they vanish instantly. Ing and Ashing return, asking Yen for his decision. Our boy agrees to join their scheme, but warns that he needs something to prove their sincerity, or he will self-destruct. Ing, smiling, offers him an ability or crystal pure enough to rival a Tier 3 zombie core, her supposed show of loyalty. Yen accepts the gift readily. What Ing doesn't reveal is that the stone is tainted, meant to make his eventual sacrifice easier. Yen, unfazed by a little pollution, is pleased with the crystal. As he purifies and absorbs its powerful aura, his body glows red. His abilities surge and energy floods through him. A sly grin crosses his face as he thinks to himself that these outsiders are far from clever. Ing leans in and whispers to Yen, urging him to visit the ancestral hall to meet the patriarch and the ancestor, enticing him with the promise of an antidote for the poison. Yen smiles, showing no fear, and readily agrees. Ing takes his arm and leads him down a dark narrow path that winds deeper into a cave. Echoes of sacrificial screams reverberate from the cave's black pit. Soldiers nearby look uneasy, fearing the wrath of the old ancestor and dreading the possibility of being chosen as the next sacrifice. When Ing, Aksheng, and Yen arrive, our protagonist mocks the supposed safety of the cave, remarking that an earthquake could easily bring the whole place down. Ing simply smiles, assuring him that the Yuan clan's ancestral land is extraordinary. She gestures for Yen to follow her lead. He soon notices a stone pulsing with ability energy, though it's less pure than expected. Yen quickly realizes that the entire cave likely contains ability or... He wonders why they would bring him somewhere so crucial. He could easily steal from this place. Ashing laughs at the thought, boasting that the Yuan family is the strongest and nothing can be taken from them. Ing draws our boy closer, promising him a bright future after the ritual. Yen smirks, secretly anticipating a unique meeting with the old ancestor, and walks forward with confidence. The other two scoff, convinced he's oblivious to the danger. After a long trek, they reach the ancestral hall. Yen sees an immense shrine with 2 stone tablets bearing divine titles. He pays his respects as do Ing and Ashing. The old ancestor's laughter rings out, clearly pleased. Ing urges Yen to kneel, but he refuses and boldly asks if some immortal official of the Yuan family truly deserves his bow. This infuriates Ashing, who attacks with a surge of green aura, grabbing Yen's shoulder and trying to force him down. Yet Yen stands firm. Ing tries to catch him off guard, binding his legs with her whip and revealing her true intentions. However, even together, their strength is no match for Yen. Both attackers panic, baffled by his resistance to the poison and his overwhelming power. Flames blaze around Yen as a surge of energy erupts from him, sending Ing and Ashing flying into the wall where they crash and cry out in pain. Realizing that our protagonist is 5th rank, they are left terrified and in awe of his true strength. Ashing and Ing are stunned to discover that someone has actually reached 5th tier ability. The resources required just to achieve Tier 4 are staggering, and advancing to Tier 5 is considered nearly impossible, far beyond the reach of even the entire Yuan family's combined wealth. Ashung, still in disbelief, demands to know Yan's identity. Our protagonist dismisses them with a scoff, declaring they're not worthy of such knowledge. Desperate, Ashing and Ing channel their blood energy, offering it as a sacrifice in hopes of summoning the old ancestor. At higher ability levels, sacrifices become much more potent, and the ancestral spirit is said to be pleased by greater power. As their blood fuels the ritual, an intricate array forms beneath them. The old ancestor's spirit materializes, seemingly satisfied. He introduces himself as the Submersion Star Lord of the 7-Water Lodestar of Upper Purity. Yen, curious about his composure, quietly asks for more about the ancestor's title. From the shadows, Black Bear and Genji emerge, explaining to our boy that the 7-Water Lodestar of Upper Purity Grotto is connected to the Big Dipper, rulers of all waterways. The Water Lord's true name is Lu Xiang. Daji joins Yen, commenting that Lu Xiang once commanded many followers. Black Bear, however, is furious, accusing the old ancestor of impersonating water virtue and deceiving the world. The old ancestor is shocked to recognize Genji, the ancient thunder-wielding divine being, unable to believe any ancient god survived extinction. When Black Bear is ignored, he roars his name in protest, but the old ancestor claims never to have heard of him. Offended, the bear demon smashes nearby rocks. The ancestor descends, declaring the original lord dead and claiming himself the rightful successor of the water palace. Suddenly, the red formation beneath their feet activates, chaining Yen and his companions in a god-locking formation, one said to be nearly impossible to escape. Aishing laughs arrogantly, convinced of their victory, and he and Ing heap praise on the ancestor, certain that he has crushed the demon god's plot. But Black easily shatters the chains and, with a single kick, sends the old ancestor flying like a ball. The ancestor crashes into his own descendants, mortified that his array was broken so swiftly. Black Bear sneers, calling him a fraud unworthy of suppressing anyone. At the same time, Yen unleashes a fierce barrage of divine flames. Ing and Aishing barely escape, fleeing in a panic as the tables are turned. The ancestor quickly concedes, begging for a chance to negotiate, but it's too late. Black Bear launches into a legendary but strike, releasing a cloud of toxic gas that nearly kills the old ancestor then and there. Everyone freezes in disbelief, stunned by the absurdity of the attack. The ancestor cries for mercy, desperately pleading for his life, yet Black Bear responds with another devastating strike. The old ancestor, battered and terrified, attempts to flee, only to have his escape blocked by Genji, who casts a massive net of thunder over the entire cave. Ing and Aishing are left in shock, unable to believe what they're witnessing. They begin to question Yan's true identity, realizing even the old ancestor is afraid of him. Sensing the situation is hopeless, Ing tries to slip away to warn the clan patriarch. But just as she attempts to escape, the old ancestor collapses beside her, causing her to startle. Exhausted, the ancestor turns on Ing and Aishing, blaming them for his predicament. In a panic, he seizes both and threatens to devour them alive, sending them into terror. Without a second thought, he swallows them, declaring it's time they repay him. As the old ancestor absorbs their power, his body radiates with dazzling light, and he transforms into the submersion Star Lord of general rank. Daji and Black Bear simply grin, noting he's now only their equal. Nothing to fear. Yen, however, intervenes, signaling for the others not to act. Having reached level 5 and absorbed ancient memories, our protagonist seeks a worthy opponent to test his new strength. He wonders how he'd fare against a general-level adversary. The old ancestor, offended by Yan's confidence, charges, vowing to devour our boy and ascend even further. Yen calmly raises his hand, summoning a mighty flaming sword, and effortlessly blocks the attack without flinching. Meanwhile, in India, a city is shrouded in black smoke and rocked by constant explosions. Humans fight desperately against monsters as they race toward a church. Inside, uniformed worshippers look skyward, praying fervently, convinced their god will not forsake them now. But monsters burst in, slaughtering many without mercy. Despite the carnage, the most devout remain steadfast, thanking their deity even as disaster unfolds. Ability users fight to help. But when a girl urges everyone to flee, the stubborn devotees refuse, still expressing gratitude to their gods. Watching this, the girl shudders in disbelief and disgust. A 5-person team of ability users charges at an advanced zombie, fighting desperately for survival. Meanwhile, the uniformed worshippers remain oblivious to the chaos, lost in their prayers. Suddenly, 3 pillars of light descend from above, manifesting as 3 colossal gods, Shiva, Indra, and Kelly, appearing in gold, green, and pink forms. The crowd erupts in cheers, convinced their deities have arrived to save them and destroy all threats. Shiva extends his hand, unleashing a mystical golden light that lifts 2 zombies into the air. In an instant, their bodies are torn apart, reduced to bloody fragments. The people below cheer, praising the gods for delivering justice until the zombies' remains transform into glowing stone crystals. These crystals are then evenly divided between Indra and Kali. Kali, licking her lips and smirking, comments on the richness of the life essence, while Indra accepts the offering with cold indifference, noting his preference for a different flavor. The crowd's excitement fades, replaced by suspicion and unease at the god's unsettling behavior. Shiva releases his golden light again, this time targeting the ability users. As the group is lifted into the air, panic sets in. Realizing the truth, they scream and plead, insisting their loyalty as devotees makes them undeserving of such a fate. Their cries go unheard, and they are crushed without mercy. The stunned survivors watch as 5 new spiritual energy crystals form and are divided among the 3 gods. The gods admit they prefer the taste of living beings to corpses and discuss using humans as food for spiritual energy, controlling both zombies and ability users. They mock Yangtze for protecting humanity instead of harvesting life force. Callie recalls that 3,000 years ago, Yangtze's gods fought desperately to seal them away. But now, with Yangtze's forces weakened, they face overwhelming divine power. Laughing, Callie reveals she left a special item in the Yangtze region during that ancient battle. With their plans in motion, the 3 gods depart for the next area, leaving the bewildered crowd behind. At that moment, a strange sound echoes from behind. Another wave of zombies approaches. Back at the Yuan family fortress, the situation in the mine grows dire. The family keeps a close watch on their enslaved workers, forcing them to labor harder and faster. A soldier kicks the workers, demanding greater speed and effort. One furious laborer throws down his axe, openly rebelling against the endless exploitation and warning that the ore is tainted and monsters appear within the mine. Rue, a Tier 4 ability user, mocks the newcomers, insisting they underestimate the Yuan family's power. The miners, fearful of his abilities, shrink back as Rue threatens them with a stark choice: keep digging or slit their own bellies and return the food. As the ability users toil in the mine, they quietly remark on Rue's relentless cruelty. Rue dismisses their concerns, assuring them that once they receive the pills, not only will the taint vanish, but their cultivation will also rapidly advance. Nearby, a soldier praises Rue for controlling the workers with nothing more than his words. Suddenly, the ground shudders violently as if the entire mine might collapse. This upheaval is the result of the Yuanshua cave explosion caused by our protagonist. Yen laughs with exhilaration after blasting the old ancestor away. Though injured, the ancestor tries to escape, but Yen, now a living flame, relentlessly charges after him. With a powerful punch, Yen shatters rocks, nearly striking his opponent. The ancestor barely manages to dodge, fleeing as our boy continues his pursuit. A sinister smile forms on Yan's lips as he lands another blazing blow, his fiery attack causing the cave to collapse under the tremendous pressure. Back at Rue's location, the group is baffled by the sudden earthquake. One soldier speculates that the old ancestor must be absorbing energy from a sacrifice. The soldiers continue to flatter Rue, but their attention shifts when a miner, digging through the rubble, panics at the sight of something unusual, a massive ancient bronze gate revealed beneath the fallen debris. Rue's excitement grows. He's convinced the golden coffin lies beyond this door. Together, they push the gate open, shouting in anticipation. A brilliant green light pours out, blinding Rue and forcing him to shield his face. Inside, they discover glowing water flowing beside a golden object etched with strange patterns. Rue instantly recognizes it as the legendary golden coffin. The group marvels at the rarity of the water, wondering how many such treasures might be hidden within the mine. Rue believes this water could create high-level ability users. Suddenly, a surge of thunder blasts everyone back. Onlookers are stunned to see the old ancestor standing majestically before the golden coffin, his presence sending ripples of fear through the crowd. The ancestor's eyes gleam with ambition as he stands surrounded by divine green light and flowing water, convinced that with such pure resources, he can overpower all rivals. At that moment, a streak of golden light shoots in. Jan appears, launching a fierce fashion shadowless kick straight at the ancestor. Jan brings the battle to a decisive end, sending the old ancestor crashing into the wall where he collapses in pain. The onlookers are left speechless, unable to believe that anyone could so easily attack the revered Yuan family ancestor. Rue screams in terror at the sight and whispers ripple through the crowd as everyone wonders just who Yen really is. This clash allows our protagonist to further comprehend the memory shard left behind by Yangtze's departing soul, which can be unlocked as he continues to grow stronger. A fiery horse materializes beneath him, radiating an intense aura. Struggling to his feet, the old ancestor furiously summons torrents of water, determined to drown Jan and heal his own wounds by absorbing the spiritual essence. With possessive greed, he insists that the water belongs to him alone. Jan, unruffled, simply snaps his fingers. Instantly, the demon-suppressing tower appears behind him, drawing in and absorbing the pure water until it's completely depleted. The old ancestor screams in panic as he watches his precious resource disappear. The surrounding soldiers react in disbelief and panic. Ignoring Rue's attempts to restrain him, one soldier charges at Jan, wielding the magical artifact known as the Soul Light Mirror in hopes of reclaiming the lost water. He drips his own blood onto a gem, summoning a living weapon, a green-bodied girl, who attacks Jan with a beam of white light. Unfazed, Yen conjures a flock of firebirds, incinerating both the girl and her spell in an instant. Suddenly, 6 glowing golden lotuses emerge from the ground, Rue's powerful 5-law lotus platform artifact. All 6 lotuses launch fierce attacks at Yen, but our boy merely smirks, mocking the Yuan family for relying so heavily on artifacts. With effortless grace, he dodges every strike, leaving fiery trails that explode across the area. Yen taunts his enemies, warning that the precious water will vanish if they don't act quickly. Enraged, Rue summons even more lotus seeds, directing them to attack. However, the seeds go off course and strike the golden coffin itself. The old ancestor, horrified, begs for them to stop, desperate to save the treasured coffin. The golden coffin radiates a blinding light as some of Rue's lotus seeds veer toward Yen, but he dodges them effortlessly. Seizing the moment, our protagonist delivers a devastating punch to Rue, leaving his face badly bruised. Yen lowers his hand with calm composure just as the last of the precious water nearly disappears. The old ancestor screams in despair, watching helplessly as the spiritual essence is lost. Suddenly, the coffin's glow intensifies. Someone in the crowd panics, noticing the temperature plummeting. Yen pointedly asks the old ancestor about the coffin's contents. The ancestor claims it contains the remains of a celestial, the key to the heavenly gate and his lifelong dream, but Yen remains skeptical. With a violent burst, the coffin bursts open, unleashing a swarm of human-faced larvae. The grotesque creatures descend on a man, devouring his mouth and body within moments, leaving only bones behind. Horrified screams echo through the cave as people rush for the exit, but fate is merciless. Many are caught and consumed by the ravenous insects. Terrified, Rue frantically summons an artifact shield to protect himself. For a moment the barrier holds, and he sighs in relief. But the wave of larvae intensifies, quickly starting to breach the shield. Rue screams in despair as his defenses collapse. Suddenly, more larvae surge toward Yen, but he summons fire to ward them off. To his shock, the flames have little effect. The larvae seem immune. The swarm spreads, screeching and hungering for flesh. Yen immediately calls upon his 3 generals to intervene, and they respond without hesitation. Genji charges first, diving into the mass like a living lightning bolt. He strikes the center of the swarm with a thunderous attack, sending electric waves through the cave. The larvae writhe in pain, but there's an unsettling realization. Even legendary thunder seems to have limited effect. Black Bear, watching in horror, notes the resilience of these creatures. Determined, Genji unleashes his next technique, Thousand Lightning Cage. His body pulses with electricity, transforming into a beacon of power. At the focal point, energy gathers before erupting in a massive explosion, sending electrical currents surging throughout the cave. At the cave's end, people feel the sting of flickering electricity. As they try to escape, a massive electric wave surges outward, blasting them back. Confusion and panic spread as they realize thunder is now sealing the cave's entrance, trapping everyone inside. Meanwhile, the insect swarm continues its rampage through the mine, having grown nearly immune to thunder energy. After a brief pause, the creatures resume their relentless assault, their rage intensifying upon recognizing the sealed exit. With furious roars, they press on, determined to devour every remaining soul. The insects reach the lightning barrier and, undeterred by the shocks, attack it relentlessly. Genji is shaken to see the larvae absorbing his lightning, while Black Bear fears their defenses won't hold much longer. Suddenly, the old ancestor offers his help, a cold laugh betraying his ulterior motives. From his mouth, a torrent of larvae pours forth like a fountain. Jan quickly conjures fire to block the onslaught, shouting a warning to those behind him. Black Bear charges in, declaring the old ancestor must be destroyed. The 2 sides collide in a brutal clash, exchanging fierce blows. Black Bear roars and manages to shove the old ancestor to the ground. He leaps, preparing to unleash a crushing ultimate attack, but the old ancestor's mind is struck by a powerful memory, a legend tied to the golden coffin and the ancient war of the gods. In that distant past, he was not alone. In the sky, The goddess Kali, mother of the insect swarm, summoned thousands of insects. As the old ancestor fell, he looked up into the chaos and met Kali's gaze. She touched his forehead, leaving a strange mark, and in that moment, an insect egg shot into him, seizing control from within. The old ancestor now laughs maniacally, shoving Black Bear away as he admits he has long awaited the breaking of the coffin. A mace formed entirely from insects materializes in his hand. His body transforms, turning fully purple in a terrifying new form. Aiming the grotesque weapon at Jan, he boasts that even a fraction of his current power is enough to kill anyone who stands against him. Black Bear, unable to contain his fury, curses the old ancestor for daring to insult the prison lord. The old ancestor, however, only scoffs, dismissing Bear's power as insignificant. Yen and Daji observe the escalating confrontation. Daji quietly informs our boy that these insects are immune to lightning, water, and ordinary fire. The only thing that can truly harm them is Samadhi true fire. She explains that Red Child was once the nemesis of the insect goddess, but Red Child's arrogance and unpredictability make him notoriously difficult to control. Yen smirks, confident that his authority as prison lord will be enough to subdue Red Child. Together, they descend to the second level of the prison. Though our hero is sure of himself, Daji remains doubtful. Red Child's reputation for chaos is well earned. A sudden sound grabs Yan's attention. Daji approaches cautiously, anticipating another outburst. Inside a dim cell, Red Child challenges his companions to act or die. 3 demons freeze, hesitant to respond. One slowly raises a hand toward Red Child, while the other 2 exchange anxious glances and swallow nervously. Even Daji tenses, preparing for the worst. Suddenly, a small flag is drawn, a signal to begin. As one demon groans about his bad luck, the others burst into laughter. Daji realizes to her astonishment that they're simply playing cards. Apparently, this is how Xian managed to keep Red Child in check. Just as Red Child prepares to draw a card, strange footsteps echo down the corridor. He looks up to see Yen, who mocks the demon's boring game and offers to join in. Red Child bristles with anger. Yen steps through the bars unfazed, prompting a threat from Red Child, who warns he'll burn any intruder alive. Jan calmly insists he only came to play, further infuriating the child. Daji instinctively retreats, wary of a potential explosion, while the 3 demons warn Jan to leave immediately. Suddenly, the tense mood is broken by video game sounds. Jan starts playing a mobile game, much to Daji's confusion. Laughing, he boasts about his gaming achievements, which piques Red Child's curiosity. Jan explains it's just a phone game and offers both the device and a handful of lollipops, skillfully persuading Red Child to try something new. Inside the mine, Genji and Black Bear are reaching their limits, unable to hold back the relentless swarm any longer. The old ancestor relentlessly tortures Black Bear, and the pool he had prepared to restore his strength is now completely drained. The ancestor believes that the energy from 2 general rank monsters will be enough to restore himself, after which he plans to devour everyone in the mine. The larvae cackle wickedly, eager to see what Genji will try next. Suddenly, a surge of pink flame energy sweeps through the cavern, an attack launched by the Holy Child. The ancestor is taken aback as the fire demon commands an assault on the swarm. Wielding their tridents, the Yaksha soldiers drive into the mass of insects, causing them to writhe in pain. Genji watches in astonishment as fire and lightning now blaze together in the mine. The ancestor is incredulous, witnessing the strength of the Yaksha soldiers, beings forged from true Samadhi fire. When the soldiers turn their attacks on him, the ancestor is struck down, their laser-like beams causing him to bleed. Back in the prison, the Holy Child is absorbed in a mobile game, happily enjoying a lollipop. Jan continues to entice him, promising even more chocolates and snacks after they've saved the world. This praise and promise of rewards further impress the Holy Child, who beams at the thought of unlimited gaming once the foreign gods are defeated. Delighted, he transforms into a massive demon monster and commands his Yaksha soldiers to attack. He explains that the insect within the ancestor's body carries a soul imprint. All they need to do is follow the trail and teach the ancestor a painful lesson. Meanwhile, in India, the scene shifts to goddess Kali, who is lounging in comfort as a maid serves her wine while chaos and death reign outside. She has already brought all the local ability users under her control and believes her insects have devastated Yangsha. Using her aura to observe events, she is stunned to see Genji, the Black Bear demon, and even the Holy Child appearing in the mine. Her shock is immediate and profound. Callie is terrified when she witnesses the power of Samadhi true fire. She feels a sense of relief that she severed her connection in time. Otherwise, she might have been incinerated as well. Suddenly, a Samadhi soldier bursts from her face, searing half of it and even killing her servants. The goddess is stunned to realize that the true fire demons have managed to track her down. At that moment, Yen emerges from the mouth of the true fire demon, openly mocking Callie. Indra, her companion, appears as well. Realization dawns on Callie. Only Yang Xia could possibly command the long-lost Samadhi fire, which means Yen is the one behind it all. Indra mocks Callie for her failed schemes. Inside the cave, the Holy Child announces that the message has been delivered to Callie and promptly returns to playing games on the phone. Jan sweetens the deal with a bottle of milk, gently encouraging the Holy Child that there's another game waiting for him outside. Meanwhile, outside the cave, the surviving Yuan family members are stunned by the devastation. The patriarch anxiously asks what happened. An old lady explains that she heard Ing and Ashing were delivering offerings to the ancestor. The soldiers speculate that the ancestor may have achieved a breakthrough to golden immortal after consuming the offering, and others quickly agree. The patriarch, convinced the ancestor is about to emerge, orders a grand welcome ceremony to be prepared, befitting an ancient immortal's descent to the mortal world. The family is filled with excitement and begin making elaborate preparations. As gold lotuses start appearing on the ground, the patriarch remarks that the ancestor's arrival is imminent and instructs everyone to bow, proclaiming their eternal loyalty. Just then, Jan confidently takes a seat on the ancestor's chair, declaring that since his descendants have proven so devoted, he's ready to assume the role of terrestrial divine emperor. The crowd is left in shock and confusion, with the patriarch screaming in disbelief, demanding to know who Jan really is. One person in the crowd recognizes Yen, recalling that he's a Tier 4 ability user brought in by Ing. Furious, Rue orders everyone to kill Yen, but the patriarch intervenes, demanding to know what's really going on. He suggests that if Yen tells the truth, perhaps he'll be spared. Yen silences them, bluntly explaining that their ancestor was nothing more than a thief from Yuan Shui. He goes on to reveal that not only did the ancestor steal the divine seat of the Water Lord of Yuanxi, but he was also possessed by a foreign god and nearly became an instrument of destruction for the entire land. To support his claim, Yen displays the golden coffin's aura, announcing that the ancestor has been completely annihilated. Shock ripples through the crowd. The old woman refuses to believe him, but others hesitate, especially since Jan now possesses the golden coffin. The patriarch, enraged, accuses our protagonist of spreading lies and insists it's impossible for their godlike ancestor to have been killed. Jan responds by unleashing a surge of lightning chi, causing a thunderous explosion that silences the room. A clan member nervously tells the patriarch that Jan is at least a Tier 4, maybe even Tier 5 user and far out of their league. The patriarch, refusing to back down, insists that they have thousands of experts and orders everyone to attack at once. In response, Yen summons the Samadhi true fire demons, who immediately lay waste to the Yuan family members, sending the hall into chaos as screams of pain echo all around. The patriarch and the old lady watch in horror, unable to comprehend how generations of preparation are being destroyed in mere seconds. Desperate, the patriarch orders Rue to fight Jan. Rue hesitates, admitting he's no match, but obeys his grandfather's command. His body transforms into stone as he unleashes the Mount Tai Crush skill, hurling it at Jan. Our boy praises Rue's courage, but condemns him as an accomplice to evil. Yen counters with a lightning chi attack, easily defeating Rue. Horrified, the patriarch urges Rue to rise, insisting the Yuan family can't fall. But before he can react further, the Holy Child strikes him down with a trident, ending his life. Yen then issues a final warning to the remaining family members: kneel or die. With their leaders gone and hope extinguished, the Yuan family bows before him in submission. Yen observes the survivors, noting with some admiration how quickly people adapt to changing circumstances. However, he knows not everyone deserves a second chance. He calls for Daji, who already understands her role. She releases her aura, instructing everyone to follow her into the dreamscape, where she will judge their deeds and determine who truly deserves to live. One by one, those with evil in their hearts are compelled to end their own lives. Only a handful remain. The survivors ask about Jan. He introduces himself, making it clear that their lives belong to him now. They all kneel in recognition. Among them is Rue, whom Jan places in temporary charge, instructing him to summon all ability users under the UN family banner for a meeting. Meanwhile, in Shitty City, news spreads quickly about Yen becoming the new head and organizing a gathering of ability users. The city's leader agrees to attend despite warnings from his team that it might be a trap. Suddenly, a woman appears out of nowhere, startling everyone and prompting the leader's guards to surround him protectively. He asks the newcomer why she wants to join him. The woman, Zhang, leader of Amber City, explains that the Yuan family possesses an or vein for ability users along with a stockpile of Shangxing pills and various crafted goods. She points out that had Yen not intervened, the Yuan family could have dominated the entire South State. With the family now in chaos, she sees a rare opportunity. Haiyan, the leader, is impressed by her insight. The scene shifts to Black Obsidian City where ability users are fighting off zombies. One informs his boss about the upcoming Yuan family meeting. Initially uninterested, the boss perks up when he hears that Yen is the new head. Excited, he immediately heads for his car to attend the meeting. At Maple Creek Port, the local leader discusses plans with her companions. She likes their strategy for the port but remains unsure about partnering with Jan, still reserving judgment about his intentions. The next morning, Jan meditates atop the Ur Mountain. The vast Ur vein stretches for miles, and though it's contaminated, his demon-suppressing tower has the power to purify it. Seated on a lotus flower beneath the ore, Yen draws in the purified aura, letting the energy flow freely into him. For the first time, he feels completely refreshed, absorbing energy without restraint. After taking in the special abilities contained within the entire Ur vein, our protagonist advances once more, now reaching the peak of the 6th tier circle. With his demigod-like body, he is immune to all magic and impervious to any blade. Yet despite this immense power, Yen senses untapped potential within himself. He can't seem to break through to the next level. The leap from the 6th to the 7th circle appears to be a formidable hurdle, one that requires a rare opportunity. Just then, a memory fragment from Yangxia awakens, revealing that a true breakthrough will require him to face a life and death battle where his flesh and soul become fully connected. The 6th level already grants him power equal to an ordinary immortal, comparable to a high-ranking commander. Having absorbed the essence soul of Yuan Shi and the remnant soul from Shui Day's divine tablet, another soul lamp is now lit in the tower, granting Yen new insight into those imprisoned within the next cell. Peering inside, he sees Red Holy Child engrossed in a game using his father, the Bull Demon King, to climb the ranks. The sight unsettles Jan. If the child is already this formidable, he can only imagine how powerful the next prisoner might be. Determined to be cautious, our boy activates a fire barrier for protection. Within the cell, someone quietly writes poetry in a diary. Expecting a fierce confrontation, Jan is startled when the prisoner turns out to be gentle and polite, greeting him warmly. Just as the man begins to introduce himself, he abruptly starts coughing up bats and asks Jan for a moment to recover. Our boy is left bewildered and wary by the prisoner's bizarre behavior. Daji materializes behind Yen, noting that this particular prisoner exudes no magical fluctuations and resembles a mere scholar. She admits she can't discern his true identity. Yen comments that there are countless mythological beings connected to scholars, but shrugs it off, certain he'll uncover the truth eventually. Suddenly, he's teleported back to the mountain where Rue approaches with news. Ability users from the neighboring cities have arrived for the meeting. At the council hall, Zhang, leader of Amber City, Hu Yen, Chitty City, Zhang, Maple Creek Port, and Wanhao, Black Obsidian City are all assembled. Using her magic, Zhang conjures a swarm of flies that form a barrier, ensuring their conversation remains private. Zhang asks Zhang what she wants to discuss, and she promptly brings up the benefits of alliance. She reveals that she has sent demon spirits to spy on the Yuan family, reporting that only one Tier 4 user remains with the rest below Tier 3. Although the Yuan family's warehouse is heavily guarded, Zhang assures them it won't pose a problem. Inside, there are magic artifacts and Shangqing pills, more than enough for them to split equally. She adds that she and Hu Yen have already agreed to divide the Yuan family's assets between themselves. Zhang voices concern about dealing with Yen, reasoning that there must be a reason he became the head at such a young age. Zhang is dismissive, insisting that no matter how strong Yen is, he's still only Tier 4 and thus can be easily overpowered. Hu Yen agrees, remarking that, in the apocalypse, supplies always go to the strong. Wanhao curses their scheming and refuses to join, and Zhang also declines to interfere. Just then, Yan's arrival is announced. The assembled ability users first see Rue and assume he's the leader. But when the group bows as Yan enters, they are stunned. Unfazed, our protagonist uses lightning chi to create a soundproof barrier and states plainly that they need to talk. Hu Yan, unable to gauge Yan's true strength, finds himself wondering just what tier this mysterious new head has reached. Zhang extends her hand for a handshake and introduces herself, her palm radiating an aura capable of revealing Yan's true ability. Before she can proceed, Wan rushes over with a big grin, aiming to hug Jan. However, our protagonist skillfully dodges, causing Wan to accidentally embrace Rue instead. Wan clarifies that he's the man Jan saved at the auction and, from that moment, has become one of our hero's biggest fans. He even wanted to get Yan's name tattooed, but the artist turned into a zombie before finishing the job. Yan offers a nervous smile in response. Wan goes on to declare that whenever Yan has to fight someone, he'll be the first to charge in. Hu Yan mocks Wan for flattering our boy so much. Ignoring the banter, Wan tells Yan about Zhang and Hu Yan's plan, then suddenly tears his shirt and lunges at Zhang. The girl quickly shields herself with a barrier, insisting it's all a misunderstanding, but Wan refuses to listen and shatters her defense. Huin follows suit, ripping his shirt and transforming into a wolf, ready to join the fray. As chaos erupts, Zhang tries to escape. Rue screams, fearing the room will be destroyed by their fight. In the midst of the turmoil, Yan channels his lightning energy and unleashes an explosion, bringing everyone to a halt. The display of power stuns both Hu Yan and Zhang. Wan stops, immediately asking for Yan's next command. Our hero steps forward, announcing that all ability users in the South State are now under his control. From this point on, he will set the rules for the southern region and expects everyone to follow them. He asks if anyone objects. Wan inquires about the specifics. Jan explains that unity is essential for survival in the apocalypse. His first rule requires all ability users to register, detailing their backgrounds and abilities, and to obey necessary regulations. The second rule is to organize manpower for supply searches, coordinate the resettlement of ordinary people, establish bases, and take responsibility for clearing zombies from the area. The third rule involves forming a special squad of ability users to hunt for unusual or exceptionally powerful beings. Zhang and Hu Yan are clearly unhappy with the prospect of Yan taking control. Zhang also voices her opposition, pointing out that they are already Tier 4 ability users and can live freely in the apocalypse. She questions what they stand to gain in return. In response, our boy uses his magic to reveal a massive stockpile of Shangxing pills, stunning everyone. Zhang instantly realizes it was indeed Yan who purchased all the pills from the port. Without hesitation, he teleports the group to a hidden storehouse overflowing with food, water, and resources, lush fruit trees, healthy cattle, and even a sparkling lake. Zhang, skeptical at first, plucks an apple from a tree and takes a bite. The moment she tastes it, she drops to her knees before Yan, willing to even wash his feet in gratitude. Hu Yan feels embarrassed by her reaction, but Wan can't hold back his tears, knowing this pure resource will help him reach the next tier. Not wanting to be left behind, Hu Yan also kneels before our protagonist, clutching Yan's legs alongside Zhang. This unexpected show of loyalty shocks the others. Wan quickly urges them to stand up, reminding everyone that this is his place. Meanwhile, Rue expresses admiration for our hero, declaring that following Yan into battle is the mark of a true man. In the midst of all this, Zhang quietly wonders if Yan might truly be capable of saving the world.